Right. Here you do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll read both of them.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't want to. It must have been.
Hi, Laura.
Here.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Kara, can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah.
Video glitchy.
Yeah, it's being a little glitchy.
Okay, at 6:30, we're gonna have a special meeting. We're gonna open it, for a public hearing for North Lake Special Assessment. That's roll call, Gary?
Here.
Mary?
Here.
Ken's here, Tara,
Here.
Jason?
Here.
It's called to order at 6:30. Approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Gary made the motion. Can I get a second?
A second.
Jason second. Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes carried. This meeting is, basically for taking an individual's comment on their property in the special assessment district. And when you give your name, you are allowed to go to the Michigan Tax Tribunal 30 days after confirmation of the special assessment rule. So this meeting is not basically to talk about all the problems with North Lake Special Assessment District, but to get the people that are objecting to the tax roll that we have right now. This public comment section, you can make public comments, anything that you want. When we get into the public hearing, those comments should be restricted to the actual agenda of taking objections to your property in the special assessment district. Okay? Is there any public comment? Go ahead, name, address.
I'm Niall Wendorf. I'm the president of North Lake Landowner Association. I live at 10485 County Route 215. Basically, I just wanted to start by saying thank you to you. We've been doing this for over 10 years with special assessment districts. And I know as the landowner association, we represent a majority of our property owners. And we appreciate the fact that we know to work with the township as well as we have in trying to find vendors, vet them appropriately according to the regulations that you've set forth, and maintain our lake. And it has certainly never always been an easy path. But the fact is, as a member of the board, the president of the board, we've worked with Mary, we've worked with Kara, with all of you at various times. And been responsive to our needs, responsive to our property owners. I just want to say thank you for all of that as we try to work through now what's going to happen for the next 10 years, because this is a multi-decade restoration project. We got 10 years under our belt. We got decades to go. In the need to really follow what's the best for us. And we're trying our best, and we're open to our landowners to give us more input, and we think that's a great idea. But we appreciate the transparency you provided to us, and we don't provide to the landowners to make sure that together we're doing what's best for North Lake. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead. Name and address.
My name is John Agrella, and we live at 101 County Road 215. We object to this solid situation here. You know, we originally were told that we were gonna pay one set of taxes to help out the lake. And all of a sudden, they're charging us for three partials. And that's getting to our buck, we cannot hardly afford to live here. And when are you guys gonna stop? Why don't we just cut the weeds like we used to do before and forget about the rest of this stuff? It's too much, 15 years, give us a break, please. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Before we go forward, I just want to please make sure that everybody silences their personal devices, please, so there's no interruptions. Thank you.
Trump's not gonna call me anyway, so.
Go ahead.
My name is Steve Irwin. I've been on this lake basically since I was 13 years old. That goes about 60 years ago. And the lake has its ups and it has its downs. It's been weedy, it's got muck piles, it's got some issues. We know that the landowner association is trying to do its best to try to correct the weediness that's in there. But overall, in the 50 years that I've been on this lake, there's really not a lot of noticeable difference. The lake was shallow last year. I've seen it so shallow before I could drive a 15-passenger van onto the beach, but then the water does come back up. It's a spring-fed lake. At one point in time, there was a lot of talk about being able to just clear the area just so that the springs could feed the lake. My objection really is more has to do with not wanting to, with the use of the chemicals any longer. I'm more concerned about the risks to kids, my grandkids, than I am about utilizing copper sulfate as a way to control the weeds. I think that cutting the weeds makes a lot of sense. That was being done in the 70s. There's a gentleman that's out there doing it now as well. I think there ought to be a lot more attention brought to the concept of cutting the weeds rather than utilizing chemicals. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Alan Neff, 9957 County Road 215. We bought our place on the lake in 1992, so it's almost 35 years. Been here, we support the assessment. We don't want to pay it, but you know, it's in our view, based on all the information we've collected over the years from consultants and contractors and our own observations of the lake, we feel like we're kind of in a situation where we hope to improve the lake, but we need the special assessment district to sort of sustain the lake because unfortunately, the springs contribution to the lake at this point are minimal. We're almost entirely dependent on our rainfall. We have good years, rainfall lake is high, like this year, it's pretty high. On past years, in fact, for last year, for example, we had drought conditions for part of the summer. The lake receded, but I just wanted to say, I think a lot of work has been put into making this lake management process as effective, cost effective as we can. To try to prevent, and we believe it's necessary to try to prevent the lake from turning into a swamp, like numbers of other lakes in the area have done when they don't have this kind of intensive care. especially smaller branch of lakes like ours. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Elaine Thompson, 59 County Road 215. I understand the SAD is an equitable way to distribute funds. And in our lake, I've been here since 1981, property owner with my parents, and then we took it over when my parents passed. So obviously finding funding is always hard and difficult to make everybody pay fairly. In Mr. Agrila's point, and I don't know how many other people in the room or don't actually own multiple parcels, but that is very difficult for somebody who is one person on the lake, one family, but yet they own 3 separate parcels. They're being taxed on each separate parcel. So that's goes into that acreage that we discussed at the last meeting and what have you. That's becoming very difficult for somebody who owns that kind of property. My concern is in 10 years, you know, considering what we paid him, Jeff has given so many numbers by the township based on what the township can give him in dollars. So he's not really working with exact funding. I mean, I don't want to say this wrong, Jeff, but you're not working with exact numbers, because you're only working with what you're given by the town.
That's correct. I don't always know where.
Correct, he doesn't always know. So, but my concern is that we're going to extend another 10 years and we're upping the figure, you know, we've increased it. And I gotta go with Steve, I've been here now 40, you know, we're married 47 years, we're 45 years on the lake. I've seen it go up, down, the weeds come up, they'll spray them, they go down, they make everybody happy because they can get their boat through and they can, you know, feel fine. But, you know, I mean, my common sense keeps telling me, and I've said it at every association meeting that we've attended. If you let something fall down and you don't take it out, where is it at? We don't get the leaves out of our yard here on this lake. My lakefront is covered. We have to get those leaves out to keep that from building and building and building. I mean, we have to do a removal process. So I understand the equitable part. So being in favor or not in favor is very difficult for me to say, because I know there's gotta be some way to get some money. But we've got, I think, we have to seriously look at different avenues, how we're treating these weeds on the lake. And I just don't see that the science that I've been given has shown any difference.
My name is Debbie Hahn, 11001 County Road 215. I agree with Elaine. Over the last, we've been coming up here for at least 30 years. We bought our place in 2017 and we've cleared our front of our lakefront. But we have seen just in, actually even in from 2017, the depth of the lake has drastically come up. And it's come up because of the mud. And there has to be a process now. We live on the end of the lake where there is a gentleman that is cutting some weeds in front of our properties that we've asked him to do. But I believe, and I may be wrong, but I believe that that's the way to go. You need to get the weeds and the material out of there so that it doesn't keep accumulating. Because you know, the blowers, you know, we put a blower in front of our property, we've put the blowers are out on the lake, but it's still, it keeps creeping up and up and up. I don't know what the answer is. I agree that, I mean, we do need money to allocate to some kind of process. But I also agree with, I think it was Steve, with the, your children. We have grandchildren that come on the lake now. And, you know, we don't know what these chemicals in the long run might do for them. You know, so harvesting the weeds, I am for, not so much spraying weeds. And a lot of the times, to be truthful, because our lake, our end of the lake was not that accessible in years past, they wouldn't even come down by us. It's because we've done the work and we've cleaned up where the boats, the company can actually get down towards our end of the lake. But, you know, years past, they would just pass us by, you know, and so why are we paying in if we're not getting any benefit? Benefit is cutting the weeds.
I agree.
That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Jeff Walker, 53760 County Road 384. My wife and I have been on the lake for 20 years. I have a couple things for the township board, if I could just hand them out just real quick, just for your reference later. These are the tests, I just printed them out for you guys, all the test results. That we've gotten from RLS. The DEQ requirements on harvesting, you can't just harvest wherever you want and do whatever you want, whenever you want, okay? And this is in relationship to the last meeting. I printed out topographical maps of the three lakes, Saddle Lake and North Lake and Great Bear Lake, just to show everybody what the differences are in these lakes. They are significantly different. North Lake is 63-acre lake, varies from 0.5 or feet to 17 feet. Saddle Lake, 298 acres, 0.5 to 298 feet. And Great Bear Lake, 150 acres, 1 to 56 feet. So you can't treat all these lakes the same. They're totally different lakes, totally different ecosystems, okay? I want to go back to the reports I'm handing out, just as a quick summary of it, okay? This is not just about weeds and muck, it's about an ecosystem that we're trying to maintain here. These tests that we do include, low oxygen, water clarity, phosphorus, dissolved and suspended solids, pH, conductivity, which is available minerals and solids, chlorophyll and algae, and all aquatic vegetation. This includes natives, invasives, and nuisance. In general, we try to hold our herbicide treatment, which we did actually a couple weeks ago, to invasives, because invasives you are not allowed to cut. Okay, so it's either we live with them or we go ahead. In general, because they spread easily. Okay, so we can't just go out there and cut these invasive plants. All right. So we try to focus on that, and then as far as harvesting, last year what we're trying to do is to help the people on the ends of the lake. By trying to start removing more of what they call nuisance plants, maybe overgrowth or whatever you want to call it. You know, if you think about even your own lawns, you can't just go out there and cut your lawn once a week and have a beautiful lawn. There's other things that have to be done. Okay, you're gonna get dandelions, you're gonna get whatever, and if you don't pick up the clippings, that's gonna compound, you know, with time too. And harvesting does not capture every single weed, every single plant that you cut. So you have to be careful what you wish for, because the last time we got this original SAD, we were threatened that people wouldn't sign it, we even had the word harvesting mentioned in it, because it made a mess, like with floating vegetation everywhere, especially towards this end of the lake. So that's all I have to say. I think, you know, we've spent a tremendous amount of time. I was asked to come on the board 20 years ago when we moved here, because I got degrees in biology and chemistry from the University of Michigan and Northwestern University, doctorate, masters, bachelors, all of it. So I have a lot of science knowledge. So we're trying to bring science into it to make it, you know, more realistic on what we are doing and have a game plan. And at least, you know, to Mr. Irwin's statement earlier, okay, maybe he doesn't feel it's any better, but it definitely isn't any worse. And if we didn't do a dang thing, it would be a mess. So that's what I have to say. And thank you for your.
Anyone else? Okay, we're gonna. You got lost there.
No further comments?
We need to enter into okay, that E1 is gonna be a review of the special assessment rule. This is the public hearing for North Lake Special Assessment Road. And again, as I said, the individual that is speaking for the parcel of land that they want to make the objection to will have the right to go to the Michigan Tax Tribunal 30 days from the approval of the special assessment room. So, but you need to, can you hear?
A little loud.
Too loud? Loud, not loud enough? How about now? What I'm saying is that individuals that want to protest their property, special assessment, to be able to go to the Michigan Tax Tribunal, have to either in writing, send us, the reason why, or be at this meeting and stand up and get their name put into our record that you appealed to the township board. So anyone that has an objection to that being on your parcel, we're not into the public part. I'm just letting you know the rules. You need to state your reason and state your property, and we'll get it into the record, okay? With that, could I get a motion to enter into a public hearing for North Lake Special Assessment?
So moved.
Gary made a motion, the second.
Yep. Oh, go ahead, Mary.
Mary beat you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. At this point, we're gonna receive public comment for the special assessment district tax roll for you to object to being on that tax roll and the reason that you're objecting.
I have a question.
Okay,
Is tonight's meeting talking about the $532,000, or are you guys just saying that we're moving forward with the staff?
the process is that if the process is that they come in and give us over 50% of the properties that want the special assessment. Okay, we review that and then we hold a public hearing on it. We verify that they have the number of area of the property. We have the petitions that were signed, and if they're over 50%, then we go to the next phase of holding a public hearing, at which time the property owners, 20% of the property owners could come in and object to it, which would take it to a different level. Otherwise, it goes on to the next. We're into the next.
So if you don't have the, I mean, because this is new to me too, so that's, I'm telling you, asking questions. So if there's not a 20% conglomerate to go against the SAD will be approved. So what you're now saying, Mr. Spicer, is that anybody that would want to object to being on the SAD parcel on our tax bill, right now is when we have to stand up, state our name, address, and so forth, so that it's documented, and then we have to file the paperwork within 30 days. I mean, am I following this process? I'm just unclear.
Laura, you want to answer that? We got
Sure. Yep. So the part of, can you guys hear me in the public?
Yes.
The part of Act 188 that talks about the 20% objection is not what we're talking about here tonight. That applies when a township initiates a special assessment, and at or before the first public hearing, that process can be halted by written objections filed by 20% of those in the district. We're past the first public hearing already. And as well, this was not a township initiated special assessment. This was initiated by a petition signed by more than 50%. So that's 20% is not a number that's relevant for tonight. Tonight is each individual property owner who's on the assessment roll. It's your opportunity to object if you wish, as the supervisor said, during this public hearing with your name and address. Or alternatively, if you had submitted something in writing at or before this public hearing, then what that does is it protects your right to appeal your assessment to the Michigan Tax Tribunal if the special assessment roll is confirmed by the township board. If you do not object in writing at or before this hearing or speaking during this public hearing, put that objection on the record, then you cannot appeal to the Michigan Tax Tribunal your assessment. So we want to make that very clear so everyone knows what your rights are if you do wish to file that appeal, and that information was in the written notice as well.
Okay, then I'll state my name. It would be,
Well, let's make sure that, does everyone understand what our township attorney just explained to you?
yeah, I should clear me.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. You ready, Carr?
Yeah, it would be Albert, ELBERT, and Elaine Thompson, THOMPSON. 10959. County Road 215.
Needs to be a reason.
Okay, I'll do it.
That'd be nice to have the reason for the objection. Do you have a reason or more than one reason that you would like to state at this time?
It's the funding. The funding is very unclear. I'm being asked to commit for 10 more years. An increased amount from what I've previously been assessed already, so now it's being increased. And there's very unclear money handling here as far as the figures that the board deals with and records that they get. You know, what's being spent, they can't spend more, they can't spend less because they're not getting accurate figures from the township. This is not, I do not want to commit 10 more years of my money to something that's that unclear. I have a budget in my household that I have to live by, and I have to know what figures are coming in and out.
If I summed it up to the fact that what you're trying to tell us is that you don't see your property receiving the benefit for the amount of money that you pay,
Correct.
is that what you're telling us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, we'll go right down the line.
James and Deborah Hahn, HAHN, 11001, County Road 215. And it's for the exact reason as the Thompson.
Yeah, the same here. Dan and Colleen Murphy, 53250, County Road 384.
Same here. John Agrella and Anita Agrella, 10111, County Road 215, Grand Junction.
You have 3 parcels? You gotta make sure that you get the 3 parcels.
And original, like we said before, originally, we only were supposed to pay for one. You know, they're charging me for one parcel that is an empty lot, cannot build on it. And I'm still paying this.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Just reason to be different.
And I apologize for my speech, I'm always that over.
Fine.
So what I'm hearing is that you have the same reason as the ones before. But you also have the reason is that you have one of your lots that receives no benefit because it's unbuildable. Okay.
Something?
Yeah.
I just want to, I don't know if you recall, or I don't remember you were on the board or not, but our very first SAD was by a homeowner and not by parcel. I think that's what John is talking about. And then the next time we did a SAD, it turned to parcel. So that's why the homeowner thing now versus parcels.
Yeah.
And my taxes.
Any other individual that wants?
Yeah, I agree with these folks here. I just don't want, we're getting the amount of, we're not getting what we need out of the money that we're being spent. My name is Steve Irwin. I'm at 10125 County Road 215 in Grand Junction. And I am concerned about the amount of money that's being spent over 10 years, and then the next 10 years, and then the next 10 years. So, and then combine that with the chemical treatment to the lake, which I do not agree with. We just don't know what's gonna happen to us over the long run based on the chemicals that are in the lake that I know are supposed to be safe after 24 or 48 hours. That's what they tell us. But there's a lot of lawsuits going on right now. It's long-term bad effects for a lot of people utilizing chemicals. I can't say that we need that here.
Anyone else? Going once? Twice? Okay, and I've already told you about your rights, and Laura has made it clearer than I did. So I guess we're at the point of any comments by the board at this time. We will be making a decision at our next meeting, or it's on the agenda to make the decision. Whether we make it or not, I don't know, but it's on the agenda for our next meeting right after this. No board members? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is that Jason?
Yep.
Second?
So moved.
Gary, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes carried, we're back to public comment. Anyone have a public comment? 3 minutes or less? Going once, twice,
I do, I'm sorry. I've heard two different, my name is Debbie Hahn. I've heard two different. Is our lake spring fed or not spring fed? Number one.
I
Does
don't know
anyone-
if I know the answer to
My
that.
understanding is no.
Right,
Everything
because I
I've ever
hear people
heard,
say
I
that
have heard
it
it
is spring
for
fed.
20 years and I've never seen any sign of it or anything on a map or anything else.
Okay.
And or else doesn't think there is.
I would disagree with that because I was swimming in the lake, I can feel the springs.
Okay, great.
So there has to be something.
Look, I want to excuse you, this is the time that you talk to the board. If you want to talk to him off
Sorry.
the parking lot or something.
So that's.
Go ahead on that.
I have no more.
Okay, thank you.
If I can split the difference, I think our understanding is that the water level of the lake is much more dependent on rainfall and other precipitation than it is on spring feeds. And there's some question about whether, I mean, when we originally moved on the lake, I believe I could see two springs out toward the middle, a little toward the east. And I rarely, I mean, we have the aerators now, but when the aerators are off out of season, I don't see the kind of substantial evidence of spring activity that I saw when we water property lake. We just don't think, we think we're primarily, all the evidence suggests, all the data we've collected, all the tests and everything we've collected over the years suggests that we're very much rain dependent, precipitation dependent. There may be still some spring activity, but the bulk of our water level is rain and other precipitation dependent, if that helps.
I had one other comment. Is back in 2017, when we bought our property, there was a deep hole. It was between 17, 19 feet, 18 feet, whatever. That hole now, since 2017, is at 11 to 12 feet. That exact same hole, and all of that is muck. And I mean, what is that, 7, 8 years? That the muck is just building up in the lake. And yes, eventually we are gonna have a problem sustaining our lake, but that's a considerable loss of water or viable fishing holes, swimming holes, whatever.
If this is gonna be, go back
No.
and forth, we really don't need it. I mean, it's.
Well, I understand.
We've all been down the path
You don't
before, they already
understand.
know, I don't know how they're determining it, so whatever, we got, 6 years of reports there that shows different, so it's okay.
Yeah, but, both of you need to kind of get together and
You try.
try to come to something there. Aaron Gross.
Generally, I've been pleased to hear that everybody's been respectful of each other, even if they don't agree. It's probably not cost, they probably cannot gather the funds even in 10 years, but it does sound like dredging would be the best for this lake, if they can possibly afford that, but that's just an opinion.
Are we gonna talk about dredging?
So, if you want to hear a comment on that, fine. If you don't, I'm happy to not make it. You can have it.
Well, it's public comment time. If you wanna make a public comment, I'll let you.
The only thing I was gonna say is, we have thought about dredging, we've talked about dredging, both at the membership meetings over the years and as a board. And it's our understanding that, first of all, it's very difficult to get a dredging permit. And part of the reason it's difficult to get a dredging permit is of chemical residues from lead and arsenic in lakes. Which I think has a lot to do with all the lead-based fuel that we had contributing in the atmosphere and other things in past years. Dredging, it seems like an ideal solution, but it may not be something we can legally get the state's regulatory authorities permit, and it is, as Russ pointed out, very expensive. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, I think that's, no public
I
comment.
just have just one clarification. So next month, you're going to make your decision if the stat is passing, correct?
There's a possibility of making that tonight, right after this meeting.
So if you make it tonight, people have 30 days to submit their objection
That
to
is
the
correct.
Michigan Tax Tribunal,
That's correct.
if they're not able to make it tonight. Okay.
Is that right, Laura?
Well, ask her, she said, if they're not able to make it tonight, only someone who objected at this public hearing or in writing at or before this public hearing can appeal to the Michigan Tax Tribunal.
Okay.
So if
thank
someone
you.
didn't come and didn't object, yeah, they won't be able to appeal.
When is the 30 days start?
Be 30 days from today if it's confirmed today.
If it's confirmed today. So when it's confirmed.
Right, it's 30 days, otherwise it's 30 days from whenever, if you go to the next meeting, it would be 30
Yeah.
days.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Jeff Walker, just real quickly, what is the criteria for the tribunal to approve these folks not having to pay this assessment? And what do we do as a board if it significantly affects our budget, and we can't do the treatment or not, then what do we do as far as that?
Right now, when we decide, which we haven't decided, that question probably is a good question at that point.
Okay.
But basically, if you determine that, let's say you're not gonna do irrigation anymore and that's gonna drop your cost by some value, you just merely need to tell the township treasurer on the next tax bill, you wanna reduce it this amount. It's that simple.
Well, no, I'm saying, what do they have to show that they're really not getting? What type of proof do they have to provide that they're not getting the benefit of this?
They have to prove that your program is not benefiting them in the value of their property.
Okay, can they just say it doesn't, or do they have to prove that?
They need to have some proof to.
Yeah, I can jump in. It's an evidentiary proceeding at the tax tribunal, so it would require valuation evidence, which could take the form of an appraisal to show that the amount of the special assessment is not reasonably proportionate to the value conferred on the property by the improvements. An appeal by one person only applies to their parcel. So if one person prevails, that doesn't invalidate the rest of the special assessment district. It only applies to that one person's parcel.
Ann Walker, 576 Road 384. My question is on the opposite, is that if the SAD were not to be able to go through, because you talk about valuation of property, what type of recourse if the lake is in worse shape because we're not able to have a SAD or to use all the multifaceted different approaches with our property value going down?
Well, that probably also would be a better question for our next meeting if it doesn't pass. Okay, and Laura's gonna be here for that too, so.
Right.
Okay, Laura?
Yeah, that's fine. We can comment on that at the regular meeting.
Okay. Okay, public comments complete. We're going to adjourn at 7:09. Does anyone need a break? No, no break. Ready to go to the township board meeting?
Sure. Well, maybe I'll grab the water.
Oh, wow. Yeah, go ahead.
This little baby cup isn't gonna get me very far in this meeting.
That's why I didn't ask for one, because I was like,
Shot.
keeps us on a tight budget. Here. Yeah, of course. Welcome. Okay.
My detailed eye for a reason.
People that objected are leaving and then you don't want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, great idea.
Great. And you're already creating.
What's that? It is.
Hey, I got like bird.
Figured we could.
Okay, we're going to get into our next meeting. We're gonna call it to order at 7:13. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which is one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call, Gary. Mary.
Here.
Ken's here, Carl,
Here.
Jason's here.
Here.
The agenda, any comments on the agenda?
One thing that I think. And maybe that's already been corrected. I think Carol was working on the
For the,
public comments at the end.
for the agenda. This is for the agenda.
Yeah.
Hey, can you guys speak up?
We're doing the agenda right now.
Minutes come later.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You're good. And I did correct it.
So I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Mary made a motion, Jason seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nice, Terry. We received, some written public comments from Karen Gross, and, Mario. Everyone got to see those. Karen, did you want to make any statements on your public comments?
When you get to the topic of short-term rental, maybe discuss special use as just part of the discussion, maybe help understand if that's an alternative way to deal with that.
Yep. Mario?
May I read the shorter version of?
Yes, you may.
Alright, thank you. Good evening. This comment is about short-term rentals in Columbia Township. My main concern is simple. Short-term rental supporters talk about tourism, property rights, and money coming in the township. But I have not heard clear proof that short-term rentals actually help the residents who live here every day. The township master plan talks about protecting residential neighborhoods. That matters because short-term rentals are not the same as normal residential use. They bring rotating guests, extra cars, noise, late access pressure, and enforcement problems in the neighborhoods where people live. This is especially serious around the lakes, where many lots are only about 50 feet wide and neighbors are very close together. People bought homes in those areas expecting residential use, not rotating rental business next door. The township on record already showed those concerns. Saddle Lake PUD proposal was described as short-term rental development, and planning commission denied it after reviewing application, public comments, master plan, zoning rules, and legal advice. Those same problems do not disappear just because short-term rentals happen one house at a time. If this use was a problem in the larger development, the board should be very careful about allowing same use to spread through residential neighborhoods house by house. The township was also already on notice before the moratorium. Short-term rentals complaints were already in township records. Resident should have not keep waiting for the township's studies as possible future ordinance. If short-term rentals are not allowed under current rules, then the current rules should be enforced now. If new ordinances are adopted later, operators can apply under permits, fees, and inspections and rules. But until then, residents should not be expected to live with non-permitted rental activity while the process keeps getting delayed. I also want to clarify planning commission process. The township on record says
The planning commission was asked at the board request to draft short-term rental ordinance. The record also says that draft was being prepared for planning commission review and recommendation to the board. That can be found in two documents, regular board meeting, December 16, 2025, agenda packet, page 39. Also planning commission, October 8, 2025 minutes, page 3 out of 9. Later, the planning commission voted 3-2 to recommend banning short-term rentals, except in commercial zones. If the board chooses a different direction, residents deserve to know what new facts came to support the decision. I also disagree with the sunset period. Short-term rental operators already had benefit of earning income, while nearby residents carried the burden. Existing reservations should not override township rules. No one would want commercial use place being 50 feet away from their home and then being told they must tolerate it longer because the operator invested money. That is how residents feel when the house next door becomes rotating rental business. The board can hear from all property owners, but its first responsibility should be to the residents who live here and deal with the impacts every day. As people in South Haven say, neighborhoods need neighbors, not short-term rentals. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Dave?
I didn't submit a report because I've been busy working on the grant, and there wasn't much to report from our meeting, other than we continue to work on the bylaws and revisions, we're not done. And then we continue to work on the zoning ordinance, and we have a calendar, a schedule that will allow us to work through the entire ordinance by the end of the year. And we're hoping that that will match up with the board's own decisions on things like short-term rentals, so that when we go to revise the ordinance, we're, doing a lot of things at once. And then the final thing is the grant needs to go in this week, Friday at the latest. There is a glitch with the website. I'm doing everything I can. Kara's helping me to make sure that we can go ahead and submit it. But and I gave you all drafts to take a look at. I need your comments by tomorrow. And I'm not looking for rewrites. I'm looking for, does it hang together? Does it tell the right story about our fire department? A lot of the grant language might seem weird to you, but a lot of it is driven by FEMA and the way you have to write a grant. So, I'll be around tomorrow. You can call me if you have any questions, okay?
Thanks, Kate.
Dixie?
I have a question what Kate just said about how the planning commission is working on the zoning ordinance for short-term rental.
No,
That
I
was
didn't
not
say
my
that,
understanding.
I didn't say that. I said we're working on the zoning ordinance. So then when the board does make a decision about short-term rentals, about the time we finish reviewing the zoning ordinance, maybe you've made your decision, and our hope is that'll happen about the same time. That's
If
what I
it
said.
needs to be revised.
Okay.
I had sent a letter asking for evidence that demonstrated the difference between short-term rental and owner-occupied or long-term rentals. On the complaints that were brought up about short-term rentals, I wanted evidence that backed some of the things that are being said in regards to, is the problem really, like, how much of it is actually short-term versus was months ago, and I never got a reply. My understanding is when you send that type of request in, that you guys reply within 30 days, and I never got it. But I was curious as to what those
What's your
numbers look
name?
like. Antonella Icabello.
I don't know if I ever got that.
I confirmed it went through, I just never got the reply, so I'd still like to see that.
Was it a FOIA request or? Was it a FOIA request or?
No, there's forms you got, if it's not computerized, it was I forgot what you called it, now I'm drawing a blank.
Was it a complaint form?
Might have been a complaint form, but it was a document that I filled out in mailbox and it was confirmed by Ken that it was received.
She said she dropped it off in person, confirmed you received it.
I don't know if you remember, Ken, we talked about it and it was received, at least that's what. So, still wondering.
What was it? What information were you looking for?
The evidence that demonstrates that these short-term rentals are causing these problems that are being discussed, but how much of it is short-term rent? When these complaints come through, I wanted to see how many of these complaints are short-term versus residents or long-term rentals. I just, you know, we talk about it, but there really wasn't any hardcore evidence that was provided to show just how, if there really is a drastic difference, are they coming through from long-term residents as well? How much of a difference is it? You know, sometimes seeing those numbers help us to understand what's going on.
Our public comments that we have on it normally come here from the township hall or a complaint written
Yeah,
to the township.
I did that.
She did the complaint, I
Huh?
think. She said she did the complaint.
Yeah, can you verify it came
Didn't
in?
complain, it should be
It's not really a
responded
complaint,
to.
it's a question. She's asking a question. She wasn't really a
I
complaint.
filled out 2 forms and I didn't get a reply either. I could call you guys back.
Can you email me it?
I hand wrote it because you
Oh.
guys didn't have
Yeah.
an electronic version of it, so.
I'll
I
look
think I have
into it.
it.
I'll look into it and get back
Okay,
with you.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just with regards to short-term rental, I mean, there's talk about how there's increased traffic, there's no extra economic impact into the community. There's a lot of hearsay in those comments. It's just the reality that is there actually an increase in traffic from short-term rentals? Or is that an increase in traffic from people who own lake houses as a second home that decide to bring 20 people up? I don't think there's any proof of either one of those. It's just really what it comes down to. And to just really throw at short-term rentals and say, hey, short-term rental is this hardcore new problem. It's not really a new problem. Short-term rentals have been going on in this area, especially around lakes, for 100+ years.
Any other public comment?
Did we get a name?
Oh, Brian Kraus.
Hi, my name's Rick Rio. I'm the superintendent at Bloomingdale Public Schools. So, number one, I just wanted to introduce myself to everyone. Number two, we have, an item on that's gonna be on the August 4th ballot, special election, in the Bloomingdale Public School District. And I've heard some talk that there might be, some real misinformation out there. I just wanted to make my rounds and just talk for a couple of minutes about what that's about. And if folks don't feel comfortable speaking about it, if others approach you on it, please send them my way and I would be happy to explain it. So anyway, the issue on the ballot is a millage vote. And this is not a bond election. The rumor that I heard was that Bloomingdale had 2 bond proposals on the ballot a couple of years ago. One of them failed and this was an ask to approve that. That is not the case. This is an operating millage. Operating millage meaning these funds, we use them for routine maintenance to pay employees, et cetera, et cetera. These are the funds that we use as a district to operate. Unfortunately, school funding in Michigan can be extremely complex. And now, we're charged with explaining this to the public so that they understand what these dollars are about. I think most folks understand that schools get a per pupil funding allowance. Last year, that was $10,050 per student that attends our school. That's our base funding as a school district. But tied to that, the state expects every district in Michigan to levy 18 mills on non-homesteads in the district. So these aren't primary residences, these are non-homesteads. So the Bloomingdale district, it's very rare that a community not support that 18 mills. And in our district, I think in 2020, that 18 mills was approved for 10 years. So it would run through 2030. But the reason we have to, or we're going back out for this vote is that 18 mills is subject to a Headley rollback. So those 18 mills have been rolled back to about 17 mills at this point, and typically we would expect more of a rollback. So this election is just about restoring that to 18 mills. Currently operating on one less mill, we don't get the full $10,050 per student. We get somewhat less, which equates to about Bloomingdale operating with about $70,000 less of our funding than we otherwise would have. So we're asking for that restoration. That's all the election is about in August, and I just wanted to provide that clarity, and happy to answer questions that anybody might have at any time. So thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Over the 10 years, what is the taxable value increase for the city?
Oh, geez, I don't.
Because our taxes go up, and if you're kept getting 17 mills and the taxes go up, you're probably still getting the same amount of money equivalent to what you got.
Correct, yeah, so the heavy rollback occurs when the taxable value increase outpaces that of inflation.
Because that's a huge number when you look at Columbia Township, and our property values go up every year. More than the headly.
More than, okay.
So you're getting actually more every year from us.
So you're arguing against it? Yeah, I just want to present the facts, and then certainly, allow folks to make their own decisions, but, again, that's, it is a restoration, it's an additional. Something that was not approved earlier.
Any other public comment? Okay. Page. Consent agenda. Meeting minutes from the previous board meeting on May 19th. Can I get a motion to approve or change those meeting minutes?
Yeah, you do a motion for the whole thing.
Okay, we'll just ask if we have any comments on May 19th, 2026.
That's where I was talking about the public comments at the end. There was
Okay,
three people and I think Carrie's already got that.
Yep.
let me correct it.
Fixed.
Anyone else have comments on it?
That's it.
F2, any comments on accounts payable? F3, payroll summary. Any comments? Banking account bank balance, any comments? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as written or with changes?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Usually.
Second.
Gary second. We have a motion by Mary and Gary to approve the consent agenda as presented. This is money, so we need a roll call vote. Gary?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Ken is yes. Carl?
Yeah.
Carl's a yes. Jason?
Yes.
Yep. Guest speakers. Emily, she's from the Van Buren Conservation District.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. For folks that don't know, the Van Buren Conservation District is a local unit of government. We were put together in 1944 when some folks in Van Buren County decided that they had concerns about soil and water quality, kind of on the heels of the Dust Bowl, and created the Van Buren Conservation District. So we serve all of Van Buren County. We are largely funded by grants. However, we also get municipal contributions. We get some funds for services from Van Buren County. And we also have a conservation district millage, which will be on the August 4th primary ballot as a renewal proposal. So it was previously approved in 2016 at 0.1 mil. With the Headley rollback, this renewal proposal is to consider for 0.0989, so slightly reduced amount from the 0.1. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the things that we have coming up. If you have questions about other services, please interject as well. We do find that our work these days typically centers around, again, still that soil and water quality, native and invasive species, recycling and materials management, as well as some of our other work with, like I mentioned, the native plants. We do the tree seedling sale every year as well. So as it relates to, I'll just kind of go chronologically with some events that we have coming up. Next week, Thursday, June 24th, we're doing our last of the summer series for materials recovery facility tours, MRFs, kind of where our recycling goes. So a lot of times folks wonder, does it ever get off the truck? Does it just go to the landfill? What happens to it? So we are carpooling on a county transit bus from Papua, and then we will head down to Elk Park and see where our recyclables go. So that is open to the public. We just ask that folks kind of RSVP ahead so we make sure we have enough space on the bus. Additionally, the board here and all of the public is invited to the Conservation District annual meeting. This year that will be July 17th. We'll do a breakfast. We're trying to beat the heat this year. We usually do an evening thing. We're gonna do a breakfast. We give out a Conservationist of the Year award, Farmer of the Year. We do some staff service awards, which is a nice time to get to know other folks in the community, hear about what the Conservation District has done in the last year and what we're looking forward to coming up. Additionally, our recycle roundup events have kicked off. Those are the ones with the household hazardous waste, so light bulbs, batteries. We've also included foam, tires, recycling. The first one was in June in Papua. Next up will be August 1st in South Haven. And then the third of the year will be October 17th in Lawrence. So those are all always open to everyone in Van Buren County, whether you're a resident or landowner. Those are at no direct cost. Again, all those funding sources I kind of mentioned at the beginning, make those no direct cost for folks. Let's see. There will be an electronics collection in Gobles on August 6th, if that's handy. So we do have year-round available in Papua Community Thrift Shop and in South Haven at the Senior Service Center. So those are free when they're open. You can drop off electronics that need to be recycled, again, at no direct cost. We cover those, and those organizations are gracious enough to host the trailers and kind of collect those things for us until our vendor comes through. But if that's not convenient for you, we've been trying to bop around the county and get some of these collection event days. So that's why I mentioned the Gobles on August 6th. After that, our electronics trailer will go to the Bloomingdale Transfer Station for their open hours for those next 2 weeks. So Saturday, August 8th, Tuesday, the 11th, and then the following Saturday, the 15th. Even if you don't normally or can't normally go to the Bloomingdale Transfer Station, the electronics will be accessible to you during those days. You could stop there. Again, just trying to get a little bit closer to folks if that's more convenient than going to Papua or South Haven. Let's see, what else as we move through the calendar? I think finally we will be doing a school section lake kind of educational social paddle. So not too far from here. Take a look at invasive and native species, talk about some of the early detection work we're doing to try to keep invasive species from having big economic and ecological impacts, so impacts on our native species here. The team has been doing a lot of field work already this spring, and we'll get a chance to just kind of get our eyes on it ourselves. A lot of times the way that we get on top of these invasive species before they become a big problem is because folks like yourselves are out and about enjoying all that's great about Van Buren County, and you let us know that you saw something weird or that you learned was a problem. So we really value those opportunities to check some of that stuff out. We just recently found a new one, European frogbit, down at a pond in Cass, because our invasive species work is in Van Buren, Berrien, and Cass. It was our first day surveying for the frogbit on a new grant that we got, and we found it. So a little unfortunate, but we're glad that we were able to find it early. That one tends to move from putting duck blinds in and out of like water's edge or kind of swampy areas, and having our boats in and out of those areas. So that's one that we're hoping to be able to teach a little bit more about this year as well. So those are some of the main things. Always a lot going on. Does the board have any questions for me?
And if people need to refresh their memories, they can go to your website at
VanBurenCD.org, so like conservation district. And we do have, I noticed you have some flyers up as well for different things that we do. The pesticide container recycling is up there, so give us a call, email us, and I'm gonna be sending over some additional flyers in the mail probably, unless Leah's out this way tomorrow, to drop some other ones off for some of the summer stuff too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Project Compass, Brian? No, Ryan.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine. Actually, it's gonna be Megan. Megan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan. I am with an organization called the Merit Network. We're a nonprofit, we're a research and education network. So really what that means is we've been supporting more across the state of Michigan. This year is actually our 60th birthday, related to all things internet and connectivity. And we're here today because we've received a grant from the USDA. They have a program called the Broadband Technical Assistance Program. And the goal of this program, kind of overall, is to help make sure every Michigan resident can have access to a quality internet connection and the supports, whether that's training, educational resources, whatever that looks like, to make the most of online opportunities. And the USDA, for those of you who might be familiar with grant programs, this program is a little different in that the USDA said to us, we've identified these communities, usually mostly rural Michigan communities. So we've worked with a couple other townships in Van Buren County. We've been in Bangor, Hartford, and Covert. We worked with them for our program last year. And the goal of our program is to help you all understand the current state of internet infrastructure in the township. The status of, so in recent years, there have been a bunch of state and federal programs that have given money to internet service providers to actually build out or improve the quality of home and business internet service that's available. But there's not a lot of information out there about who's actually gotten these funds, what addresses do these providers claim that they will be servicing over the next several years, who can be held accountable if the service is not aligning with these timelines, and where can you get more information and support. So our program is called Project Compass, and the idea is that we would help you all through providing feasibility studies, other work actually looking at what's the current state of infrastructure, what's the status of all these programs, how can we help you think about next steps. So we are here today. So as I said, the USDA has supported us to do this program in Michigan communities. There would be absolutely no cost to Columbia Township, and we would be the ones doing the work. And what we would do is our next steps would be putting together a volunteer citizen task force to learn a little bit more about connectivity needs. We also have a survey that we distribute about interest in things like online educational resources, cyber safety, and some of those topics. That data would be provided to you all or anyone else who is interested. We've had communities use the findings from that in their own grant applications and other things before. So really, we're here to kind of just introduce ourselves, answer any questions, and really just ask kind of for your blessing to go ahead and look into what that would look like for putting together that citizen volunteer group and really getting to work with what the program would look like with providing some of those infrastructure planning support resources. Ryan, anything else? Make sure I mentioned.
Regarding the survey itself, Merit Network, our website is merit.edu, so you can double check it. It's a nonprofit for 60 years. We take privacy incredibly seriously, so no data would be sold to other parties in no way whatsoever. It's essentially just to give us an idea of what the township is looking for when it comes to the materials she mentioned. You probably have a better idea of how to mention BEAD if you want to mention like what that is. USDA should focus on our grant approval. Roughly about a month ago, we used to not be able to discuss infrastructure, even though that was kind of the number one thing that people said is great to pursue skills, but we don't have the connectivity, so it's kind of moot. But recently they switched it on. They did a 180 about a month ago, so now we can actually talk about infrastructure needs. So
So have any of you heard of, it's called BEAD, it's like capital BEAD. It was part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act back in 2021. And so this federal program was billions of dollars. Michigan was actually in the top 10 most awarded funds in the whole country, with the goal of what the USDA's call, or that would be the NTIA, would be calling 100% connectivity. So every business or household in the whole United States would be able to subscribe to what they classify as a high-speed internet connection. So that program, these funds have been awarded. The providers who have gotten these funds will actually be building fiber optic cables or setting up satellite technology, whatever that looks like, through 2030. I just took a look at the mapping tool this morning, and there are a couple hundred addresses in Columbia Township that are slated to be served through this program. Me and Ryan can follow up over email with you all about what that looks like. So these are already awarded. So really the USDA's goal and why Merit Network received the grant funds to do the support with Michigan communities is there's limited awareness of this program. There's all this investment being made, but there are still folks that are going to be left behind. So the goal of what we can do is bring in resources, strategic planning. We have a lot of different kind of resources in our tool belt that we can work with. Ryan has some copies of some cyber safety programming that we created called the Cyber Safety Playbook. We can pass that out for anyone who's interested. That's just an example of the kind of materials that we can produce. But really the goal is that we have the support to help Columbia with anything related to internet and infrastructure. And that is why we're here today. I'm happy to answer any questions. We'll follow up with some more information with you all. But yeah.
Can I hand these to you? I got other copies too. Anybody else wants one, but to give you a rough idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. And again, and completely free, you guys don't have to make any effort, mostly just to collect information. You guys tell us about your experiences with.
Have you coordinated with Van Buren County with any of those?
So we've done some work. So I mentioned that we've worked with the city of Hartford, we've worked with Colbert Township, and then we've worked over with Arlington Township and Bangor. Those are three of our other communities that we were contracted with. We have a few connections at the level of Van Buren County. So how we try to describe this program is that the USDA has specifically asked us to work at the township level. So we are allowed to, provide resources that of course anyone could use, but they specifically ask us to focus on residents of these townships that we've been asked. So sometimes at the county level, they're like, that's really interesting, but we're interested in working at the full county level. So we have to kind of strike that balance with what that looks like at the county level.
Well, during COVID and right shortly thereafter, Van Buren County, I think, set up a map to get fiber put down at every road in our township.
Yes, they did. And so there are some mapping resources. So those mapping resources during COVID, that BEAD program that I had mentioned, had actually updated some of those mapping tools. It can be really difficult to keep those maps totally accurate as new build out happens, or sometimes a service provider will say that a service is available at like a certain speed or quality, but folks actually receiving it, in reality it's not. So part of the BEAD program is actually trying to make that map as accurate as possible and make sure that, so they will also classify residences as underserved if the speed that address can receive isn't to what the FCC has identified as high-speed internet. So that's part of the program too, is to improve existing connectivity infrastructure as well.
Anyone have any questions?
Yes.
I just had a comment. So I helped write a grant. We didn't get it, but a couple of years ago, and it was a COVID. And in that process, I learned a lot about how the school children in our township really suffered during COVID when school was closed and many of them didn't have internet access. and you've got the superintendent from Bloomingdale sitting right here. I just wonder if you should be going to the schools and identifying those families whose children are in school and do not have internet access.
We have this is in addition to this project, Merit overall supported another one called Moonshot. That was exactly that. It was like basically students being left behind.
Yeah.
We took a look at, and on a dog FCC, we basically took a look at FCC's maps at the time, and we did our own survey, our own results, and basically used that data to show that FCC says all this green, all this served here, and then our data shows all the red here of it not being correct. And we use that to kind of leverage to get more connectivity, but you're absolutely right. One of the main things we did was visited townships and took photos of students that are hanging out at the library when it's closed, people at McDonald's, people in their cars. And that was part of the story building that we used to support that. You're absolutely right. That was a huge issue. There are studies by MSU and the Quello Center that did an actual report on that. I think 2023 though. They haven't done another one as an update, but absolutely right. It's a huge issue. It's good to mention that.
Exactly what you said is part of the USDA's goal with this too, is the speed program is about, can we finally close that gap and get folks access? There are still imperfections, so really our goal is to help kind of create like a crash course, full overview of for Columbia Township, what's the status, who's gotten these awards, what's the timeline, and kind of what can you do next?
Isn't through Van Buren District Library, there's hotspots for disadvantaged people to have them throughout the community? And isn't the Van Buren District Library one of the largest service providers in the whole entire United States for this?
Yeah.
So disadvantaged kids do have internet.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. We've worked with several of the Van Buren librarians when we were working with Colbert, Hartford, and Bangor. They have an amazing hotspot program. Unparalleled, you're right, it's very rare. But what we've heard from them is that the demand is so high still, even with how large their program is, that they're having to do things like put time limits on hotspots, limit the number of hotspots a household can have, because households that have, for example, several kids trying to do online school, one hotspot might not have enough bandwidth. That's an issue that they hear very often. So identifying those sustained needs and capturing and communicating that back to the USDA and aligning it with potential grant programs and resources is part of what we would offer with Project Compass as well.
Yeah, even something like that you mentioned, if you were to email us and say, hey, we heard Van Buren has a great hotspot program. We've had people at our presentations and things at our events that have had incredibly successful thing, and in their presentations, they've outlined from beginning to end, including all the grant processes and how they get the funding and their terms. Our membership is very transparent. They're all nonprofit in higher ed. So they're more than happy to offer up, like other libraries that are successful, they would offer up how we did that from scratch. So something like that, if you got anybody were to drop us an email that says something about the students or something about this, I can guarantee we have experience in that. We know a connection to be made or something that can be taught in the area. That's our whole purpose.
And that's really our goal, is to try to identify what you all would need and find valuable. Like the Family Cyber Safety Playbook that Ryan passed out, we developed that in conjunction with one of the school districts we were working with, because they were identifying, hey, our students were seeing all these issues with online safety and cyberbullying and these kind of challenges. So we have the resourcing to do things like develop educational materials as well.
Oh, and all the data we collect will be available to everybody. It's completely transparent. Got to add that. At the end of this, it will be made available for everyone. It's usually like a big report that we write up for you guys just after the survey collecting and everything else we learned. We send it out and everybody can access it. So, just to be clear, it's all transparent. All right.
Any other questions or anything I can elaborate on?
So the visit, it's just a visit, say hi and prove that we're real. There's no to-dos for anybody, anything. We're just asking kind of blessing for, survey will be sent out, so it's not completely new. We're open to any communications, that's all. We're just visiting just to say hi.
We know what it's like, when you get an email from an organization you've never heard of, promising you a bunch of free stuff, so we like to come out, just say hi. We're happy to chat with anyone interested after the meeting. As Ryan said, just a visit. Next steps would be, if anyone would be interested, we put together, I call it a guidance group. It's kind of like a very casual focus group style meeting of folks who want to contribute their experiences or anything they've seen related to connectivity, internet access. We would invite anyone in this room interested in that to chat with us more after as well. Brian and I will be hanging out, so we would love to chat with you, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for it. Great stuff in our invite.
Information reports, fire department.
Nice, sitting on the side of the room.
That's Jason.
Good to be over here. It's been a very busy day. Usually this time of year, I'm hoping that you guys will start listening to me and not burning things, but Mother Nature is the one that's been fighting me this year. We've had a lot of electrical hazards. We today had 6 calls and the storms didn't come here. They stopped by and went north and they went south, but yeah, this is my 3rd wardrobe change of the day. So yeah, 166 calls so far. Last month, we had 23 calls, 12 medical, 11 fire. I believe 8 or 9 were electrical hazard for the fire side. So we've got trees falling all over, so be careful on that. Maybe when you get back to your homes, see if maybe you can spot some of your trees that might be creating an issue. The last call today, I came from a fire over in Bangor, but I left a tree they knew was bad, had fallen over on a delivery semi, and the power lines were pinned on it. So just, everything was just compounding. So it's one of those deals. Do you want me to wait? I saw that I am on the agenda after everybody talks, the first.
Yeah.
Talk about the agenda.
That's fine.
Okay, I do have a couple of things. We've had a lot of people interested in the pool fields. It's been hot and it's gonna return to that. We've got maybe a couple of days. But we have found out that we are giving away our water for far under the ability to fund giving out the water. Allegan charges about $200 a load for what we provide. I'm gonna be casual about it. I'm gonna bump it up to $75 for 3,600 gallons. I know that's kind of highway robbery, but that's still almost a whole pool usually. So that's at least half a pool in one load. We'll see where it takes us this summer. May go up to $100 next year. It's just fuel prices are obnoxious. And we gotta make sure that we're keeping track of the trucks and maintenance. Even the smallest pool, I can be at your house for an hour or so. And then, I had the smallest pool in the world was over by Scott Lake, but that's still, I have to drive all the way back there to town to refill my truck and then go back. Cause I don't wanna put lake water or pond water or a big puddle of water into your pool. You already have to shock my well water, so. So yeah, we'll be bumping that up to $75 effective immediately. We'll have that put up on Facebook, so everybody knows. Things that we did in May, transfer station building looks fantastic. Cement pad looks fantastic. I didn't do anything for that though. I helped Gary with the ceiling over at the transfer station. That took longer than we thought it would, but I also got calls during it as well, so. His helper for holding the ceiling up kept getting taken away.
It all works.
Yeah, no, it looks great. The turnout gear request, we're allotted 2 sets of gear every year. We can wear our gear for 10 years. I think it lasts that long. The officers, if you check calls, are predominantly the more active firefighters of our department. We usually have 3 to 4 regular firefighters that are pretty active, but if there's a fire and we're around, the command staff wants to be on scene. So that being said, I found out in May that if we have our own fire here and it's bad enough, most white helmet folks, so fire chiefs, deputy chiefs, they don't usually go into houses, but I'm your full-time firefighter as well. So I'm first on scene. After I do my 360, I was told that there was a woman inside the house. I entered the house. I found a location that she was last at. There was nothing going on wrong down there, so I checked out the basement. She was outside with her cat, so I was in a house by myself. I didn't move too far in, I didn't go completely against my morals and things, so. But this year, I filed for a grant, we've been doing a lot of grant work with Kate, but I had a couple that I got to do on my own as well. So there's a Department of Treasury grant, and part of what I allotted for that grant is more turnout gear than what I'm requesting. But I realized that I need another set of gear. For just if I have a fire in the morning, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna have a fire in the same morning or later that afternoon, and I have to decon my stuff after every fire. We also had two of the only graduates from the Nighttime Academy, Samara Wabnameki and Carter Skuka. They passed their written and practical last month. And the state had a big problem with the daytime testing, so they're all retesting. Luckily, my Nighttime Academy did pretty well, but Samara did second in the class. She's very smart. She's also an EMT. We also had the activation of my deputy chief, Jeremy, his son. Hayden's been my training tool since Jeremy got here. We've been rescuing Hayden from smoky buildings, tree stands, boats, broken docks. We've basically put Hayden through it for his entire, probably at least the last 8 years. Well, now he's a certified firefighter and EMT. He turned 18 this weekend, so realized that my 8 to 10 most active, I was starting to look through my gear. We can only use our gear for 10 years. So I have a few sets that I need to replace for my active guys, and I'm looking for one more from me. So we're gonna look to split the 6 I'm requesting. Get 3 now. I've already got 1 bid. I need to go through the bid process and get 2 more. So I'd be requesting 3 sets instead of 2 from the budget. And then hoping that the Department of Treasury, that we lock up that grant. Or the other. If not, I'll have to wait. There's another grant coming up from Firehouse Subs since we're within 60 miles. That grant is enough for a set of turnout. So that opens back up on July 9th and it's ready to go. So. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, I don't know if I've said this before, but I love this format.
It was one of those things.
This is great.
So I had to reach out to dispatch because I used to give you guys more information and Mary had told me that. And she was like, I'm looking for a more intricate monthly statement. And I was just like, they don't send me any of the other information. Like I can go through monthly, but I feel like it's color coded.
Yeah, it's visual, like you can tell what's a medical, what's a fire call, what it was, the date. It's just, this is great.
Yeah.
Sheriff's not here, county commissioner not here, road commissioner here, assessors, put in the report, and I put in the report. Any questions on any of those? Well, we might as well go right into turnout gear purchase.
We can't, we don't have prices or anything. He's gotta get bids.
Well, if I read this wrong or I missed something. This one from the Queen's in here is for one set, and you said you need 3?
I will need 3 sets.
So for 1 set, it's $3,900.
I would say it's just shy of 3,900.
So for 3, you're looking at 11,500, 11,600. So we
And
need,
that's everything from the boots to the helmet.
right.
So
We just bought him helmets, so. When's the last time we bought turnout gear?
mine's about 8 years old now. I believe that we have been getting 1 or 2 a year possibly, but that kind of staggers us off on that whole, okay, well, this is failing now, or this needs to be turned out, this needs to be turned out. I've got most of what like Samara and Carter during academy, they wore out of date. Because it doesn't matter, they're not going into live fire or anything like that, so I mean, anybody new that comes in that's not certified. I have gear for them, but the gear that we've been getting, the people are still on the park. So it's one of those.
And just got, 10 new helmets here.
And that was, and that was me covering. Somehow it was missed that we had outdated helmets. That were well over their yearly limit. I think the worst one was about 10 years old.
Isn't Hayden leaving? I thought he was leaving in August to go. I didn't know. We gonna spend $4,000 for 2
Hayden,
months.
and well, I've got Paloma on the register to get added. Hayden's supposed to go basic. So, and then he'll be back for a few months and then he'll go somewhere else in America for a little bit and then he'll be back and that kind of thing. Like he doesn't have a ship out date yet. So, but yes, he is going to be, when he is a combat medic, he will be leaving. So.
Where's our expired stuff go? Where's that at? Do we just have it in?
If it's
station
in
one?
good enough shape, I keep it.
Okay.
So one of those deals, yeah, once it hits a point where I would rather someone didn't wear it on a fire ground, like they're not going inside in it, but even then, if it just looks raggedy, we send it over to the tech center will patch it up and whatnot and make a bunch of teenagers wear it. So,
So the other two that you said, other than Hayden, are they Columbia Township then?
yes, yep. Yep, Carter and Samara are both here in Columbia Township. Carter actually, we did our first. We had a tornado watch last Friday, I think is what it was. Carter spent the night at the station, he ran a couple of calls with Steven. I was responding from home, but
Is tomorrow one?
yeah,
Yeah.
now he's ready to go.
How many sets do we have that are not expired right now?
In the closet, no. Every set that's not expired, a person is supposed to do it.
Right.
So.
How many is that? Because we only have like 3 or 4 people respond is what you said. I'm just trying to
Well,
get to what.
But
we
at
really-
one point, those people did respond. Probably about 8 to 10 sets. But Carter and Samara aren't very big and. Paid on call firefighters can be small to very big.
So you're working on getting some other quotes here.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, I talked, McQueen is just who I talk to the most. That's who I've used the most. So it was really easy for John to get back to me. I think it's just a John thing. So we talked to each other, he immediately talked back to me. But, yeah, a couple of other companies that we've gone through before, I reached out to, so.
Okey-doke. Thank you.
Did we have any of these in the budget for this year?
It's 2 yearly, I believe.
I think there was either 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think it's 2 sets per year, I wanna say, but I brought it up,
So 2 are in the budget, you're
I'm looking for.
ideally looking for 6, so you're 4 short.
Except he put in for a grant.
So I do wanna see where the Department of Treasury grant is for $50,000.
But you need one for yourself right now because you're doing double calls
That would be
during the
nice.
day and
Yeah.
staying in something dry.
Why
instead
can't
of
that be
wet.
one of the one we budgeted for?
Why couldn't you use one of the others that are hanging there that they're not responding to calls?
Yeah, I can see if I can fit it in.
They're assigned to individuals.
Super duper extra large, but yeah.
Oh, they're assigned to individuals.
Yeah,
So it is important that we
we're all.
retain
yeah,
the same.
It gets fitted. That goes back, they used to do small, medium, large, extra large, but I wanna say it's been about 20 years since they did that. They've been personalizing the gear. I mean, yeah, I can shove somebody else into it and it goes on a date, but
Got it.
as far as crawling on the fire, I don't know.
You probably ought to purchase one of them. When he gets the bids.
So Stephen has one that fits him and you have one, but you should have 2, is
Yes.
what I'm hearing. Okay.
And with Steven's activity, he found another set that fit him, okay, so he does have 2 sets that are big.
What do you guys wanna do?
So maybe we should, if you're gonna get a couple more bids. Personally, I can't see just buying one set because it's in the budget right now or two. We should wait and see if we
Get the grant.
either get the grant or at least maybe postpone this until next month to give you an idea for these other bids to come in. And then we can pursue it more with, actual numbers. That's my feeling. This is not,
Or we could approve Pine Two not to exceed $8,000. Once he gets the budget or the other bids in. I don't know, it's up to the board.
Well, am I missing something? If we budgeted for 2 sets of turnout gear and our chief is saying he needs one right now, why would we not authorize that purchase? It's in the budget.
Well, if he gets another bid, I think he could do that.
Cause we have a bid process.
Okay, well, that's fine.
And if he goes out to somebody that doesn't give a bid back, that's still considered a
At
bid
least
that
he's
he
tried.
attempted to get, so he can get by with 2 if he doesn't
Can
get
you
a
get us 2 more
return.
bids so we can get you set?
typically, chief, if you, what's the timeline from when you order it to when you get it? Roughly.
During the summer, it might vary 6 to 8 weeks probably. One
How
of those
many?
deals. The tough part is that just because they're doing wildland gear at the same time. Some of them do racing suits and whatnot as well, so they're probably pretty bogged down, but 6 to 8 weeks is usually a turnaround time for turn under.
Okay.
Is this personnel gear
Yes,
in the budget? Is that what it would be under? It looks like there's $6,000 in the budget.
yeah, typically that covers what, 2 to maybe 3 sets? Around $6,000, maybe?
Maybe we just didn't account for the fact that they just keep raising prices on everything. One of those deals.
Okay,
I feel comfortable, approving up to 4,000 with 2 other bids for you before the next meeting. But I'd really like to make sure we have firefighters that can use these unit, that we've got people in that.
Yeah, because we can approve 3,000 to 5,000 with just a supervisor and 1 board member with 3 bids. Up above 5,000, we need the whole board.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we do not exceed 4,000 to get the chief new turnout gear. And we would still like to get the 3 bids.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Mary, seconded by Jason to approve turnout gear for the fire chief not to exceed $4,000, provided with bids. So what you got there?
Yeah.
Want to read back what everyone knows what we're voting on? I would say following the bid process. You might only get 2 bids.
Okay.
Read.
Motion to approve to get fire chief new turnout gear not to exceed $4,000 following the bid process.
Hey, Mary?
Yep.
Mary, yes, Jason?
Yes,
Who second?
I
Jason
second.
one other thing, since we just got these helmets, chief, does this turnout gear come as a set? Like with the hoods, the helmet, the gloves, the boots?
So.
Or can you pick and choose what you really need?
I'm good on gloves. I do have 2 brand new sets of gloves. My helmet is brand new. The yellow helmets are all in use. I could swap out the out of date helmets that we had. And At best, I think that would lower their estimate down about $360.
Well, but
For the yellow ones though.
my point is you can
Yeah.
pick and choose since you got new helmets here just last year, I think, or it wasn't even last year, it was.
I
a
should,
few months ago.
be able.
Yeah, okay, that's all I needed to know.
Okay, Mary voted yes, Jason voted yes, Carl?
Yeah.
Kenzie, yes, Gary?
Yes.
I'd like to really keep track of what we're donating to the school, because we probably should get a little stipend for donations, you know. Cause it sounds like we're furnishing their classroom.
They also helped us out with our spit testing this year,
yeah.
because they own the machine. So
Yeah.
we bought the adapter, which saved us $650 a year. Yeah, I can sort that out.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on to unfinished business, North Lake Special Assessment District. Yeah, ask Laura that question.
Laura, we have the resolution here you guys provided, and we just had a question on number 4 that we had to fill out about the interest.
So let me address that, and I guess I'm going to start with a question for the board. With this special assessment, if it's approved, will the township be fronting money for the work that is then reimbursed with the special assessment funds? Or do you wait and collect the funds and then pay for the lake improvements?
Collect the funds, just like we do for the rest of the lakes.
Okay.
Mary,
So
collect the funds.
We collect the funds first and then they spend it.
Right. So you likely don't need to have an interest rate. Act 188 allows you to charge interest up to 8%. If you are not doing bonds, if you're doing bonds, there's a different rule. But typically that's done where the township is advancing the money, doing the work with general funds, and then getting reimbursed later. And obviously then there's a cost to the township in spending money now and getting paid later. If the township is basically a conduit, to get that money and pass it on, then you could strike the interest language or just fill that blank in with a 0, which is probably easier.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we received the objections. We had how many exceptions? We had 5 people? 6? Remember?
Five property owners.
We probably should have added them to our meeting minutes over here in the regular meeting. They had over 51% of the property owners on the petition. 20% did not object at the time of the petition. So our next thing is any comments that we might have on the special assessment district. Do you have any comments, Jason?
Yes, I'm sympathetic to the situation. I live on a lake as well. Fortunate enough to not have had to deal with this issue yet, but it certainly has gotten my radar up about, future planning to protect the lakes we live on and love. I think I said something to this effect at the last meeting. I really, the position that we're in, the way I interpret it is, our role is to make sure that the process is followed correctly. And, in the evaluation, I guess, me personally, the methodology of how the association, the residents decide to treat their lake isn't for me to decide. I mean, I heard a lot of differences of opinions of we should do this, we shouldn't do that, we've done this, it didn't work, it did work. I mean, I know personally, I wouldn't want someone else to come in and tell me how to treat my lake, so in regard to that, I don't have input. I guess from where I sit, it's more a process of, was the 51% threshold reached? Were the petitions turned in properly? Did we follow all the rules? Does our attorney say that we've covered our bases and let the will of the people go? And then I guess just encourage, I think this is what I said last time, the different sides within the lake association just need to communicate better and figure out how to get on the same page of what's best for the lake. And maybe there's pieces and parts that you'll never agree on, but it sounds like there's been a lot of communication issues and things like that in this process, which I don't feel like I can help much. So I'm just evaluating strictly from the standpoint of was the process followed, and do we have all the information we need to make a vote, yes or no, should the SAD continue? So that's me.
I think that, I'm sorry, did you? I'm in agreement with, Jason's philosophy. If the dots were all dotted and the Ts were all crossed and everything was done in accordance with what was supposed to have been done, and apparently our attorney had the input on some of that as well. There is a couple of things that I know that we changed on Saddle Lake, and it had to do with, first of all, we increased our SAD collection amount too, but we were on a contract with the aeration that we had for, it was a 7-year, I believe it was 7 years lease option. And after the 7th year, or 5 years, excuse me, we owned it, but we were under obligation for that time frame with that equipment. We ran it for another 2 years, and I was doing some testing, evaluating with what they call a sludge judge. It's an instrument that measures water and depth and muck. And I went to 4 different locations in the lake where the aeration was being used at the same GPS locations. And I can tell you within the 2 years that I was doing it, nobody was doing it before that. So I don't know how they could say that it was working or wasn't working. But I can tell you in the area that we had, now granted, we're a 300-acre lake, so this was only in one test section. Before I go down the rabbit hole, the muck did move out of that area. I also took measurements at the outlet, and the muck increased down there. So with the boat traffic and aeration and everything else that was going on, I think the muck was moving. I don't know how much was dissipated or not, but it was obviously doing well in that area. However, once that was done, we changed philosophy, and our association agreed to increase first of all, get rid of the aeration, and second of all, to increase our SAD amount and then use that extra amount for harvesting the weeds. So we started that last year, and it worked very well. We looked at dredging. Dredging is super expensive. I spent 2 hours with the manager, Maple Lake and Papa. That little lake, it costs them $2 million every 2 years. Permits are hard to get, as was mentioned, and it's very, very expensive. So for a small lake, even our lake with 200 people, you can't, it's not affordable, period. So I think once their obligation, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're obligated for another year or two with the bubblers, with the aeration thing, well, under contract. And at that point in time, you might want to, just suggestion, you might want to look at different alternatives and change that and do some harvesting, or whatever the case may be. I just think they can only do what they can do with what they have. So that's my comment. I think as long as the legalities were done, it's up to them then to make sure they communicate with everybody else and make sure the funding is adequate.
I agree. I mean, we're here to just say if all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. Why is this 2023 instead of 2025?
There should be a 2025 also. But not that group. I gave you 2015, 16, 16, 17. So the tests are done in the year and then we get the report like in the end of the next year. That's why they're that way. There's 2021, 2023, 2024, and 2025.
I didn't get it. I have it now.
Okay,
Thank you.
it shall be done.
I do have empathy for the gentleman that has 3 parcels. I mean, that's a lot of money and I hope that you guys, and you've told me you can do stuff for people like that.
Yeah.
And we do have some poverty kind of exemption stuff. And so my empathy goes toward people like that.
Well, that's true.
Where I get confused is when there's people that have been on the lake for 50 years and they're like, we didn't have, this has been going on. We didn't have this before. It just changes every year. And so I can see where that's really hard for everyone to say, okay, now we're paying almost $1,000 a year and we didn't pay anything before. So it's a lot for a SAD and you guys know that.
Yeah, we do.
And that's my issue, because I'm the one that collects taxes and people come in really struggling sometimes. So when I get this from North Lake, I will have them call you and say, what do you have?
Yeah, the parcel list was developed by Van Buren County as to what parcels touch the lake. And that is at the core of the list that was used. And we've had no input or say in that. Is your geology part of Van Buren County that defines the size of the SAD. But we've just had to go along with what was said.
Laura, can exceptions be made like that if one person has?
It's each parcel. If he combined his property, he
Right.
could eliminate it, but each parcel
Yeah.
has to be in there. And
they're-
it's got an 8006 number. It's gotta
Or
be
is Mike's
listed.
getting?
If they're adjacent, he can combine them.
Hold on. Lori's
I
got
pay
something to say.
on 3 special assessments. for
Yeah, I think
something.
there's a couple, what we always want to watch for, right, is making sure we're treating similarly situated parcels, the same. There was a comment, I think, during the public hearing about whether they were buildable. That's very difficult probably for the township to evaluate sitting here because just because it's vacant now, it doesn't mean it will be vacant forever. And so if in 2 years it's built, well, then it's not, being assessed. And that isn't necessarily fair either. So you have the ability to, modify the assessment role if you wish to, based on the comments that you've received.
So as a board, we can modify that?
Yes. It's even though it was petitioned by the people, it is still a special assessment role that this township board has to approve. I would make
And I
sure,
think
obviously,
it's-
you're thoughtful in the reasons for doing that. But if there were evidence that a specific parcel is, completely underwater, never going to be buildable, I agree that it perhaps could be consolidated and that would, address the issue as well. But you do have the power to change the special assessment role tonight.
Laura, I had a vacant lot that has a stream run through it and it's all swamp, 15 acres of swamp, it's never could be buildable. And I did go to the Michigan Tax Tribunal on appeal, and I lost an appeal due to the fact that every year the property value was going up more than the special assessment. So they were saying the value was increasing, therefore I had to pay the taxes.
Yeah, the burden at the tax tribunal is on the taxpayer or the person whose property is specially assessed. And they do have the burden of showing that the value of that improvement for their property is not reasonably proportionate to, the amount of the assessment. So ultimately, it is, $950 is a significant amount of money each year. Don't get me wrong. But depending on the value of the property, to show that the lake being improved isn't going to increase your property value in an amount reasonably proportionate to $950, that's the burden that people have to show. And it doesn't have to be dollar for dollar. You don't have to show exactly 950. But if the township could show, look, property values, Ken, to your point, property values are going up. Having a clean lake by this vacant lot makes its value go up regardless of whether it's buildable. Those are the kinds of issues that the tax tribunal would have to decide if there were an appeal of that kind of parcel.
Will there be any reason why we should not maybe have our assessor look at those parcels to see if it's been increased every year more than the assessment increase?
Well, I'm not sure just looking at year over year increase in value is, I'm not sure that's going to inform your decision that much, because it's not, does the value of the property go up every year? It's do the lake improvements, reasonably impact the value? And if the lake's been being improved, it's kind of hard to show what the values would have been without lake improvements.
Yep. Well, this is board time right now.
I just wanted to add that our board, we know several people, like they've been in financial trouble. The board is offered to help them file the paperwork and get the exemptions, and we've yet to have anybody take us up on this offer. We've also offered as a board to say, if you need legal help or other ways of getting through this system, because we know it's complicated, we're all in the same lake, we will help you. Because we're sensitive to that issue.
No, I agree with you guys.
Well, I agree with everything that's set up here, that we followed the process and everything is in order.
So
I do feel sympathetic for that side, and I know you guys are under a lot of pressure on yourself, and it's still gonna take working together. There you go.
Great.
Is there anything we want to do with the person with 3 parcels, especially the one with the?
I think it's up to the property owners.
Michigan tax rate.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I think, but.
Well, didn't Laura say we could adjust tax rolls?
Yeah.
You can,
she said we could.
yeah, tonight is, before you confirm it, is the opportunity to do that. So once it's confirmed, it is what it is.
So, for example, I'm not suggesting that we do this, but when you say we can adjust the tax rolls, could we say, in this particular case, this individual has 3 parcels, we're gonna make a special exception where they only need to pay on 1 of the parcels and give them exemption
I
on
think
2?
on 2 of the parcels, the one that he doesn't pay on is the one that is swampland that doesn't see any benefit, that we could say that we don't see any benefit.
Let me answer that 2 ways. First, it's the straightforward, yes, you can make changes, but second, the reasoning likely wouldn't be because the same person owes 3 parcels. You don't necessarily want to look at it in terms of the current owner. Those parcels could be sold tomorrow. It's more, is there a reason that 1 or 2 or whatever number of parcels should not be assessed for this, in that they will not benefit? So your decision is driven by, do these parcels benefit from the lake improvements? Not so much the personal hardship of the owner. Again, which there may be poverty exemptions. I don't know people's circumstances that might apply to that in terms of actually paying it or paying it over time. But this board's decision should be grounded in, do the improvements benefit that parcel?
I think she said that their septic is on 1 parcel, and so that's why it wouldn't be buildable, but until we know that, I don't know how we can.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but the quality of the lake is still gonna affect that parcel, whether it's buildable or not.
Well, if it's a joining parcel, he can combine it. And
That's up to
eliminate
the
that
property
status.
owner, right?
Okay, I need a motion here from someone.
I'll move that we approve the North Lake Assessment District as presented.
Got a motion by Gary. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jason seconded. Is there any further conversations that want to be made by township board members?
Just to clarify, that was a motion to approve that resolution number 4 that we provided with 0% interest filled in.
Yep.
She's got that in the motion. She's
Okay,
gonna read
perfect.
it back before we go too far.
You need the partial amount in there, the 950 as well, or no?
It's
No, so. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, we have no discussion. You wanna read our,
move to approve resolution 4 of North Lake Aquatic Plant Control Special Assessment 2026-016, confirming the special assessment role as presented with 0% interest. Filled out. I'm gonna do as amended.
okay, everyone okay with that motion? This is a money situation. Gary,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Tara?
Yeah.
Ken's yes, Mary?
Yes.
Special Lake Assessment District is approved.
Laura, in the notice I mail, the assessment on your parcel is, do I do it per year or do I do the total amount?
We do 950 per year.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Short-term rentals. Well, we made a moratorium on the short-term rentals, and then we decided that we would have further discussion in the future on maybe regulations for short-term rentals. And provide some direction regarding the development of the proposed ordinance. Implementation of a schedule. I guess what we ought to decide here, how do we want to do that? Is there any? I guess, is there any thing that we're looking at right now that we can agree upon on what to do with short-term rental?
Well. I don't know how well this is gonna be received, but. If you look at the master plan and what the residents want. And the way it's zoned right now,
Can't hear you. Here.
that better?
I have some signatures for some people from the North Lake that I wanted to drop off before the meeting was over. Can I hand them to you, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
As I was saying, I think that if you look at the master plan and the way it's written. And the way the ordinance is established right now. I think maybe a starting point would be to. Maybe. Proactively, I guess is a good word. Start with enforcing. The. Way it's written currently. Enforcing all the zoning and the police ordinance as currently written. And then once that's established, then we can review, what the process would be and, maybe even hire additional personnel to maintain that. Take care of, any questions or concerns or violations that might be written into the, ordinance itself. That's my comment.
Are you making a particular recommendation, Gary? I'm not, I might not have been following you on that.
I would go so far as to move that that the township proactively enforce all zoning and police power ordinance as currently written.
So that's a motion?
Correct. That's a motion. Might be popular, might be unpopular, motion on the table. But I think it's a start.
So really you want to say start with enforcing short-term rentals as currently written in our zoning ordinance along with the violations. Is that
Correct,
what I got? Okay.
as currently written. Can always be revised later or changed or whatever you want to do with it.
Mary is not eligible to vote.
Well, we don't even have a second yet.
Pardon?
We don't have a
Don't
second
have a
yet.
second.
I'll second it for discussion. Gary made a motion, I made a second discussion.
Yeah, I guess it's not clear to me, so we all know that short-term rentals have been in existence for a long time, and there's probably a number of reasons for that. Not the least of which might be inappropriate sanctioning on our part over the years and unclear language in the ordinance, and there's lots of reasons. So if we're trying to address the issue of short-term rentals, I'm not sure how a motion just to enforce our ordinances addresses that issue, really. I mean, I guess since you made the motion in your mind, does that solve the problem?
That's a starting point only.
Okay, so can you tell me what that looks like, I guess? If tomorrow if we voted on your motion and started enforcing the ordinances as they're written, what does that mean to short-term rentals?
What that means is that they are under the discretion and the enforcement, the way it's written right now in the ordinance. And that allows, and there's still a moratorium for any new ones that are starting. So that still gives the board, and we need to sit down and hash over exactly what we need to maybe amend the language. Maybe add language in there for maybe, lack of a better term, maybe a hobby, maybe strictly commercial, maybe rentals so many weeks a year, maybe so many guests a year, maybe so many, well, how many cars, maybe even an easements or shared property, there is none. I mean, I don't know. But at least we have a starting point. Because otherwise, this can be kicked down the road forever and nothing's ever done.
So I'm just trying to clarify your position in my mind. It sounds like you're saying you also want to write an ordinance.
Sure.
Okay. So I guess I'm wondering why your motion wouldn't just be, let's write an ordinance.
We're having new ones move in quite frequently right now.
Well, that's against the moratorium. That's a separate issue. I mean, everybody should be paused as we're figuring this out. That was the whole point of the moratorium. So I mean, if there's people breaking the moratorium, that's, in my mind at least, Laura can clarify, that's a separate issue that we could address separately.
Well, let me jump in, because I think that's an important question. The moratorium is a moratorium on the township issuing approvals for them. As we've said, or as I've said, and I've taken the position, they're not permitted, or they're, treated like they're not permitted likely in residential, I guess I would put it that way. So if Gary's motion is we're going to start enforcing the ordinance, then as your township attorney, I would want direction on what that means in terms of, are we sending then cease and desist letters to all short-term rentals, for example, in residential districts?
Is that what your intention would be with that motion? Is to have all of our current short-term rentals get a cease and desist letter?
I don't think that would be appropriate at this time because a lot of them already have bookings. So I don't think that, I don't want to penalize them just because of the way that it's written right now. Like you said, it's been going on for years. And there used to be, the only way there was short-term rentals was a special use permit. And why that was dropped, I can't tell you. And maybe that's part of the new documentation that's needed to address this whole issue. Yet, you're not gonna please everybody, I can tell you that right now. But I think that since the moratorium does not allow any new ones right now, and the ones that are in existence are already booked and have been booked, I believe, in all fairness, they should be able to continue what they're doing. But well, it's like anything else, enforcement, if there's issues, then it's gotta be addressed. But I think that my motion I think it's just a starting point of letting these people know that there's gonna be more deliberation, there's gonna be more comments, more information gathered to try to please everyone, which isn't gonna happen, but we can at least try to do that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, this is a complex issue. We've been saying that for a number of months, and there's a reason that we're still struggling to figure out the best solution, honestly. But I think, so I appreciate you taking a stab at it. I mean, I felt like we need to make some headway on this for sure. So I'm definitely sympathetic to that. What I'll just like say candidly, what I don't like about your motion is it's kind of like we're trying to address this specific issue by a vote that says we want to enforce our ordinances, which of course I want to enforce our ordinances, but this particular one has a lot of like entanglements in it. And I don't know, it's kind of like saying, trying to use an example, it'd be like saying, there's a particular person that needs to go to jail, but I want to make a motion that we love everybody. Like, it's like, it's a carve out. And I think to Laura's point, it's not even clear to me what you're saying, because you're kind of saying, I want to enforce the ordinances, which would mean maybe cease and desist letters, but then you're also saying, let's allow the ones that already have bookings to do their thing, and let's still work on an ordinance. In my mind, like, if we're gonna work on an ordinance, we should do that and not send out cease and desist letters, because what if we send out cease and desist letters and then 3 months later we have an ordinance, then we cease and desist. I don't know.
Do you mean sunset? Is that?
Well,
or
I was gonna
cease and
say,
desist? They can go together.
There can be a sunset time frame, like 2 years or a year and a half down the road or whatever, that these are not gonna be allowed. That allows the STR people to have their bookings and stuff, but they know that it's gonna come to an end, so they can figure out what their plans are gonna be in the future and that sort of thing, so.
If I can jump in, when you say come to an end, do you mean only in the residential districts? Because I think the gist of the case is it's a commercial land use. So if you had commercial zoning, that would
Correct.
likely be a proper, right?
Yeah, I don't see an issue if it's commercially zoned. But in a residential, it's really not.
2 months ago, you two were gonna get together and do something. What was that?
That's the problem. See,
Good.
that's why I wanna get something done to force the issue.
Well, I think. I don't want to veer off the motion discussion that we have, because there's a motion with a second on the table, Laura, so should we? I feel like the discussion needs to go well beyond the specifics of that motion. Should we vote on this and then come back to that? I don't wanna.
You have some leeway in your discussion. If you're talking about alternatives that might influence people on how they vote on this motion, I think it's appropriate to talk about that.
Okay. I'll also take a stab too, like, it seems like what we need to decide as a board is what position we're gonna take on this issue and then build the solution from there. You know, and I'll just put it out there. For me personally, I feel like the dogmatic positions on either end of the spectrum don't serve the township well. I'm more in favor of trying to come to a reasonable compromise in the middle. And I believe that there is a pathway to that, which would include an ordinance with specific things that address the concerns that we have. And I believe that's probably the best course to do the most good in our township. So that's my position, though. If I were to pursue that, I suppose that pursuit would involve proposing an ordinance. And I've spent a lot of time reading over the draft ordinances and the comments and all that kind of stuff, trying to go, what could this ordinance look like? But it seems like maybe as a board, we need to decide that that's the direction we go. Are we trying to stop these altogether immediately? Are we trying to figure out a way to live with them? It seems like that's the starting point. Am I wrong about that?
Well,
We can't really fix it, or we can't really do anything about it until we know what we're trying to do.
right. And there's been a lot of discussion and a lot of feedback from everybody and all the issues that may or may not be addressed. But until we actually write an ordinance, we have to start somewhere. And since this master plan and everything else that we have right now tells us basically what we're supposed to be doing, that's why I made this motion.
Ken, earlier I asked about bringing up special use as part of discussion. Is there anything that?
Well, section 8 of our zoning ordinance requires a special. Section 8 of our zoning ordinance requires a special use when you have something that you're gonna try to do and want to change our ordinance. Then they'd have to go through a special use process and try to get it approved. An individual can file one, the township board can file one, or the planning commission on their own can file one. But
I think you might be talking about two different things.
This is a very deep. What's that?
I said, I think you might have been talking about two different things there.
Well, she was talking about a special use permit. Changing our zoning ordinance would require a special use permit.
Yeah, but forgive me if I'm overstepping and jumping in. I'm just trying to kind of facilitate from my spot on the Zoom screen here. I think, Ken, your point in your ex officio report and what you just said is right. The township board can direct the planning commission to consider a certain approach to short-term rentals. That would be one way to move this forward. Whatever a majority of the board, which is what Article 8 of the zoning ordinance says, right? A majority of the board can basically submit something to the planning commission. So if a majority of you can agree, for example, not advocating any position, because that's policy and that's up to you, we should amend the short-term rentals to allow, amend the zoning ordinance to allow short-term rentals in R2 as a special land use. That is an example of something you could direct the planning commission to put together, have a public hearing on, and send it back up. I think Kate's question was, hey, can special use permit, be part of that? It could, it doesn't have to be. It's whatever the board wants to direct. But one way to take the next step is to tell the planning commission what this board wants to see come up through public hearing for your consideration.
Well, I'm gonna say this to everyone. Number one, the RO district is right on the lake shore in subdivisions of our lakes. The RO district, septic systems are very close to the lake because you only need less than 12,000 square feet to build a building in the RO district. And that's really not, the septic system is not designed to handle 20 or 30 people at that location. It's basically tied to way back when they said that you can have a less than 12,000 square feet, but it was based on a family use, not a rental use. So RO districts, I don't see any of those being able to sustain the amount of use that you would see from a residential on the lake used as short term. I think our other problems is fire lanes. They're not wide enough for a business operation. You might say that's gonna be the same if somebody else had a bunch of people over for the weekend at their family. But on the other hand, that only happens on the holidays and it doesn't happen every day of the week. Like,
Not all short-term rentals put 30 people
well,
in.
I got one down my road, or Gary's got one down his road, and
So then you.
they got the
create
20-some
ordinance.
people, and it's there. You can't say it's not there. It's
No,
there.
I'm just saying they're not all.
And our fire lanes are not maintained by the township. They're maintained by the residents that are in the subdivisions, and sometimes they're not maintained well enough. It puts a strain on our fire department, emergency services.
Okay, that note as well, fire lanes, any homeowners on that. I've had a couple of, I mean, I don't have accurate knowledge of them actually being the presidents of any specific place, but they reached out to me as representatives of some of the fire lanes. If you want me to get down there, if you need help, you need to start clearing your fire lanes 20 feet high and 13 and a half.
That has, all due respect, that has nothing to do with short-term rentals. That's a general fire lane practice. I live on a fire lane. I get it. I mean, yeah. I was trying to keep us on target.
And then if you look at it, if you start talking about businesses, right now, they're not allowed in the R1, R2.
Something to add.
Go ahead, Laura.
I was going to say, so we're getting into the debate on what the direction perhaps should be, but my point wasn't to recommend. I was using that as a for example. You guys get to decide what you recommend. But if this board is not going to give the planning commission direction to do something, then you're going to be in the same holding pattern you've been in, or you do adopt Gary's motion as presented, which was fine, just enforce the ordinance as written, which doesn't allow them in the residential districts at all, which that motion probably is not compatible with also, and let's work on amending the ordinance, because you're likely not going to want to go to the time and trouble of shutting down short-term rentals if you are also going to work on an ordinance to allow short-term rentals. So my suggestion is that you decide which way you are going to go. And if you are going to have an amendment to the zoning ordinance to address short-term rentals, let's get some direction to the planning commission. That's likely going to have to be in a motion that may not pass unanimously, and that's okay. Disagreement is okay. Ultimately, it comes back to the township board for adoption. But just process-wise, from where I'm sitting, those are the options that are before you right now.
I think maybe since it's a motion and whatever, we could vote on this particular motion. And if it's doesn't pass, or if it's whatever, then a new motion can be made to send this back to the planning commission to address an ordinance review and revision to give back to the board.
With direction as to what that ordinance should say. Yes, I agree with
Well,
what you said.
the only thing, again, what I don't like about the way your motion is worded, if I were to want to take the position to work on an ordinance, I would be voting no to your motion, but your motion says, I make a motion that we enforce all of our ordinances. So I'm kind of saying I don't want to enforce our ordinances. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
is there a way that we can reword that to say, I make a motion that we send cease and desist letters to all STRs right now? Because that's kind of what you're saying.
We're supposed to be enforcing it already.
what Kara said?
We're supposed to be enforcing it already. We don't need a motion telling us to start enforcing it. But like he said, give direction of how you want to enforce
She
it.
said we're supposed to be enforcing it already.
Correct.
I just don't want to be put in a position where I'm voting no to enforce our ordinances as a general concept. And that's what it feels like is happening.
Well, but if that's the case and it doesn't go anywhere, which might be the case, then I don't think you have to feel any guilt towards what you just said. Because what you're doing is then we're allowing it to move forward to go back to the planning commission and direct them to,
Well, Gary, I think these township boards should give the planning commission more guidance of what they want to do. They should give us guidance on maybe the lot size. Maybe we should tell them the lot size has got to be X amount of days.
Laura said
That's
we
what
need
Laura
to
said. We should-
provide specific direction.
And maybe we need a special meeting to sit down to go down a list of things that each one of us think that we ought to be looking at to.
we've got enough information that's between us. We just haven't been able to sit down together. And that's what we need to do.
I think the problem is that you both talking about the same thing in different way. I think you're trying to figure out what to do and before you move on with ordinance. Because I spent all this time on writing ordinance, but you didn't even know you're gonna accept it. So you should vote first on, are we gonna do the ordinance?
Mario, this is a time for us up here. We're in the middle of a debate. I guess it's like this. Gary's made a motion. I've seconded it. Are we ready to vote?
Sure.
Gary?
Yeah, read the motion back, please.
Motion to start enforcing the current ordinance as currently written.
I thought we had a short-term rentals. Motion to start enforcing short-term rentals under the current ordinance as currently written.
Laura, is that legally specific enough? I don't feel like that helps us in any way whatsoever.
You're going to have to give, if that motion were to pass, you will have to give me direction on what to do with it.
Right.
Does that mean go file lawsuits tomorrow against everybody? I suspect that's not what you intend, but, so can you, the motion is what it is. You can vote it up or down, but if it passes,
But I
I
mean, we're
just need.
saying, let's enforce our short-term rental ordinances. We don't even have one. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't think the original motion said short-term rental ordinance. I think it was implied that it meant enforce our existing ordinances against short-term rentals. I did not write it down. But I thought it was just.
Laura, what this says is that we're gonna follow our current ordinance, and that has no short-term rentals as a permitted use in the R2 districts.
I understand that's my impression as well, but I want you all to understand what you're voting on and realize enforce ordinances does not actually, and that's fine. You can pass it. You can pass whatever you want, but that doesn't tell me what to do. So you just need to then tell me what to do with that.
How are you gonna enforce it?
Is what?
How are you going to enforce it?
Yeah, well, that's it.
That's what
That's
she
with
wants.
anything. How are you gonna enforce it?
That's what she wants to know, what to put into this motion.
Who's on first?
Or after this motion, you've got a motion. I can't tell you or compel you to change your motion or vote a certain way. Not my job. I'm just saying if it passes, I just need to know what you want that enforcement action to look like and against whom it would be directed.
She asked about cease and desist letters. Was your motion saying it is time for that or not? Because if you don't think so, your motion doesn't make that much sense.
Well, that's true.
Well, your motion would require Tasha to send out a 10-day notice to those violators.
Tasha, she'd send out a 30-day notice. That's what her letter is.
We have 30 days of. Yep.
If you're willing to rescind your motion, I'll make a different one. How about that?
I think because of the complexity of this, what we really should do is have it, the planning commission address what the board wants, the language. And I'll rescind my motion.
I'll rescind my second.
Is that okay, Laura?
Yeah, it's not exactly how Robert's Rules does it, but if nobody objects to it, it's fine.
Any objections on the
That would
board?
be okay with the motion being withdrawn.
Okay.
Yeah, then yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I will make a motion that the board directs the planning commission to write a short-term ordinance for short-term rentals to go through the normal ordinance process. And, well, I'll wait till if there's discussion on it to clarify, but I mean, we talked about the board needing to give direction in order to move on this, so I'm making a motion that the board give direction to the PC
I
to
thought
pick.
it's police power ordinance. Isn't that the board?
No, this isn't a police power ordinance, is it, Laura?
Well, we've been talking about directing the planning commission to propose amendments to the zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance part is what regulates where they would be permitted, whether they're a special land use and things like that.
And stipulations as far as parcel size and anything like that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Setbacks from other land uses, screening, all that.
Dogs, anything like that.
Kicked to the board.
Hmm.
How did it get kicked to the board then? Because they gave it up because they said it was police power. Now we're saying it's not a police power. It goes back to the planning commission. That doesn't make sense to me.
Police power is totally separate. I don't believe the board adopted a police power ordinance regulating short-term rentals unless I missed something.
No, we did not.
Okay, so there's no police power ordinance that's been adopted. There's no zoning ordinance amendment that's been adopted. I know there was a draft at one point. I'm not sure it ever even, I'm not sure, frankly, sitting here right now where that landed, but obviously the board did not adopt it. So right now, the board has the authority under the zoning ordinance to direct the planning commission to consider specific amendments to the zoning ordinance, which I think is what the motion intends to do. The board can leave it at, propose something or give more guidance if it wishes to.
Well, and I would like to, I think we should do that, Laura, so I don't know if that needs to be included in the motion or if we just, as part of the process, if we were to adopt the motion and send it to the PC, we could send it with additional information and requests. Is that appropriate, or does it have to be all included in the motion right now?
You could probably do it. You could do it two ways. You could do it all in one motion right now, or you could do a motion that we're going to direct them to do something, and then I guess decide what that is separately.
Right.
Well, I like Supervisor Spicer's idea of, yeah, we should all sit down, make sure that we've collated all, I mean, we've heard all the different objections and complaints, and we've looked at different township ordinances and all this information. We need to somehow maybe codify that into some sort of clear direction for the PC, so they're not wandering around in the wilderness as well. My question is, can we just vote to do it generally and then add that detail as part of the process?
So the motion, as you phrased it, was to direct them to do something, but it sounds like not yet.
The motion says to write an ordinance for short-term rentals and to go through the normal ordinance process.
Maybe the motion should be to set a special workshop.
Well, I think we ought to have a special meeting where we lay out some criteria for the planning commission, because the planning commission is probably gonna be split on this, and any decision they make may not be what the board wants. So I'd rather see the board give them specific directions, like.
So there's been a motion, but there's no second, correct?
True, right.
Correct.
True.
Okay, if there's no second, I would,
I don't know if there's been a chance for a second because there was kind of a motion and then I started talking, so I'm sorry.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Just comment, can you make comment?
What are you thinking, man? Now there's discussion. There's a second on the table.
and the motion was to give this to the planning commission?
I'm putting a stake in the ground and saying, in our township, I think we should try to write an ordinance for STRs. We need to send it to the PC in order to do that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I agree with that, but we have to give them the information so they can put it together.
I think, Laura, wouldn't there be ample time to do that? I mean, part of the benefit of this is the process is gonna take some time. If they have to start with it, then there's gonna be a public hearing, then it's gonna go to the county PC, back to us. I mean, that's what, 90 days usually? I mean, there's time to see revisions and drafts and things like that in the process, right?
So have you voted on if you're going to have short-term rentals?
No,
I mean, so why are you sending it to the planning commission?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because that's where it has to start.
Well, the
Dixie,
planning
for
commission
changing
already
the
gave you a
ordinance.
resolution to what to do for the township board based on the information you gave them last time, which was very little, if any. And the only thing we can say is that it's not allowed by our master plan and zoning ordinance. So you need to tell us what you're looking at for this. Are you wanting to restrict the size of the lot? Are you wanting to restrict the number of the people?
That's how we're trying to proceed.
Well, you're not
Yes,
gonna do
correct.
that by passing that, because I'm gonna vote no for it, because it doesn't give the planning commission enough information to go by.
We can amend it to include a special meeting or workshop.
What Dixie's saying is, nobody has voted that we're going to allow it or not going to allow it. Is that what you're
that's
saying?
exactly right. So why go to the effort of writing a short-term rental ordinance for it if you're not gonna have it at all?
It's not exactly, if I can jump in, it's not, I don't think any of this is about not allowing them at all. The question is where, and where most of them are residential, the question is your zoning ordinance going to be amended to allow them in residential? That is the amendment that, or a possible amendment that the township board could have the planning commission look at. I do think, again, I might be overstepping my legal, strictly legal advice, but as a practical matter, I do think you need a little more direction to the planning commission in a motion. Otherwise, probably you don't need to direct them to do something until you have that direction. But that direction doesn't need to be, here's 5 pages of regulations we want you to put in. It could be come back with an ordinance that amends the ordinance to make clear they are or are not permitted in XYZ districts, in whatever districts you want to do, and provide for appropriate screening and other protective measures. Just kind of that, are we going to go, is the township board, is a majority of the board, because you're not all going to agree, does a majority of the board want to see an ordinance that allows them in some respect in residential districts or not? And I think if you can make a vote on that, you're going to move the ball forward.
Well, how does a motion on that read then?
You would make a motion, or somebody could make a motion could direct, similar to what you had, to direct the planning commission to, consider, have a public hearing on an ordinance that amends the zoning ordinance to fill in the blank. That could be to allow short-term rentals as a special land use in all residential districts, in certain residential districts. It could be to amend the zoning ordinance to only allow short-term rentals in commercial districts. I think the locational part of it is probably the pivotal first step that the planning commission needs. Because if it doesn't know where district-wise the board wants to see them, it can't really do much else in terms of regulation.
Mm-hmm.
I
And by
understand
doing
that.
that, it doesn't compel you to approve it. You still, it's gonna go through, as you said, it's still gonna go through a process. You're going to get comments at public hearing. It's going to go to the county. It's going to come back to the board. But it at least puts something in writing to go through that process.
So do you need to amend your motion?
Well, it sounds like it. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I think in my mind, I feel like there's a lot of additional granular criteria we could add into that ordinance. I mean, we've taken a lot of public feedback.
Sure.
For example, perhaps we don't allow short-term rentals on shared parcels. So that's a very granular, specific thing that I would want to see in an ordinance. That doesn't need to be built into the motion. Are you just saying we need to tell them where we want to allow short-term rentals, in what district, and then they take it from there, and we can keep adding detail throughout the process?
No, so I would say you have two different roads you could go there. And what you said makes sense to me. You can do my first thing, which was kind of give them a big picture just for them to figure out some details location wise. Or you could, at this meeting or a special meeting, come up with a list of those granular details. We want the ordinance to not allow them on shared parcels. We want the ordinance to require setback of 50 feet from blah, blah, blah. We want, whatever you want to see in it. You absolutely could give a more detailed list, and then this board would need to vote on that. My point is, if you're going to do that, I think you need to put together that list first and then make the motion to give them that direction.
Right.
So you can do it either way. Yeah.
So maybe, the best thing to do at this point would be postpone this till our July meeting, so we can have a list of what we really want in the ordinance to give to the planning commission.
How are you, and you can do that. At some point, you're going to have to find out what a majority of the board wants to do big picture in order to fill in those granular details.
So
And I know it's hard because you gotta, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm willing, because I'm advocating this direction, I am willing to bring back to the next meeting a specific list of things based on a lot of accumulated
Right.
information that we've got over the last 6, 8, 9 months.
Right.
And give a specific proposal and make a motion to send that to the PC that they consider an ordinance in such and such a district with these stipulations. I'm willing to bring that back to the meeting, or to the meeting next month, and make a new motion. However, I agree with Laura. Before I do that work, I want to know what the board thinks of the issue in general.
I think that's an excellent pathway to go. And if we need to have a special meeting for the board before our next monthly meeting in July, I would even go for that, just to clarify some of these issues and whatever needs to be put into this ordinance before it goes before a motion's made and sent to the planning commission. The only other thing we could do is, since we don't have to worry about a quorum, is two of the board members could meet. And you and I were supposed to have a meeting, or maybe a couple of them, but our schedules didn't permit it. So I would still be willing to do that, to put together a list of what we need in this ordinance and then submit it to the board.
Cool, but I don't want to do the work if it's ultimately going to be a no vote. So I'm going to rescind my motion, and I'm willing to do that, but I guess I'd like to make another motion. And I don't know how to do this in a general sense, Laura, so that we can decide as a board which direction we're heading. So I'll just take a stab at it.
Before you do, let's get unanimous consent to rescind your motion. Everybody okay with him rescinding his motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, without the specific direction of sending it to the PC, and we'll do that next month, but would my motion need to be generic enough to say something like, I make a motion that Columbia Township pursues a short-term rental ordinance?
Might be too generic, because I don't know what that says. It could say it prohibits them, it could say it permits them
To
everywhere
allow,
without
how about
restriction, right?
to
Yeah.
allow short-term rentals. I mean, it's hard. On one hand, you're saying we need to be specific, but then we need to be generic to get an idea what the board wants to do. So I'm trying to do
I
both.
vote no on that just because I don't know what it means.
Okay, how
Okay.
about, here's how you can do it without emotion. You can have a discussion right now. The issue, again, in my perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't just are they allowed, it's are they allowed in residential districts? I think you could discuss whether a majority of the people who are, eligible to vote on this believe that there should be, conceptually speaking, amendments to the zoning ordinance that would allow short-term rentals in all or some residential districts.
Or ban.
Huh?
Or ban.
So it's just a point of discussion going on the public record with your opinion. It's not any sort of motion or decision by the board. Okay. Gary, where you at?
I'm good with that.
Good with what?
Uh,
Do you want short-term rentals in residential or not?
Keep in mind, I'm gonna bring back a list of very specific things, so it's not just free for all short-term rentals. Just
right.
conceptually, should we work to allow short-term rentals in residential district? Yes or no? Laura, people out in the crowd are saying this should be a motion. Can you correct them, please?
Board is in a public meeting. It can have discussion if it wants to have discussion on an item of public deliberation. The motion wouldn't be to take any action. What we're doing is trying to determine what this board thinks, which I think has been difficult to ascertain, frankly, over the last 12 months of meetings that have gone exactly like this.
Thank you.
Well, here, Gary, I'll go first. I do not believe the RO district, being on the lake with such small lots, should be able to have a short-term rental. It's just too small of a lot to handle the number of people.
But RO district is not our only residential district either.
It is not our only.
So.
Then you got R1. R1 are not near the lakes or anything. They're probably not gonna be a short-term rental in those areas. R2, they're off the lake. There are some larger lots in there, but a lot of them are still smaller back lots. And you'd have to, like these are pretty large. I mean, you might want to consider something there, but you surely don't want to do these little lots here.
Where do you stand conceptually, Ken?
Conceptually?
Yes or no?
Conceptually, based on mostly our district is around the lakes and with the subdivision, then I'm definitely against short-term.
Okay. Ken's a no. Kara?
I don't think it's as cut and dry as yes or no. I think we have multiple residential areas. We can't just say no to them all. There's Airbnbs out in the country. I mean, they're not allowed in ag right now technically, so I don't think it's
I guess,
appropriate to put a ban on it all. So I would say, yes, I support working on an ordinance.
Thank you.
in
Gary?
residential district.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, and Mary, you're still gonna abstain? Okay. All right, so we have 3 yeses, 1 no.
Correct.
Fair?
She's got a restriction. And I said restrictions. I said some can on the larger
Well,
lots.
no, again, that's not what we're talking about, Ken. I have lots of restrictions in mind
We're
and
just,
lots of,
we're just right now saying we're gonna allow them or we're not.
Even just saying, is it worth spending the time and legal expenses of putting something together if all four of you are gonna say, actually, no, we don't want to do anything. So I think that was a valuable use of time. The other part with your list, you can do it as a list. You guys can work together. You can leave me out of it. Or if you want me to put it in a resolution, like resolution directing the planning commission, it doesn't have to be, it can be a motion. If you want a resolution, just email it my way and I'll put it into a resolution.
okay.
So we're gonna go with a resolution now or?
But how do you get to all the little fine points?
Well, I offered to bring a proposed fine point list, and I would love to, I mean, if you guys wanna do a special meeting, I'd love it. I'd love to hear what you say, Ken.
I would like a special meeting because
Okay.
I have a lot of data that I have that you might not have or might not have thought of or anything like that.
So is the motion to make a special meeting at a certain date?
Yeah.
Is that the motion? We
I
kinda
think there was a
have to-
motion made.
No, I'm just saying, if there was, that could be it. I'm not saying,
Well, you can't make that motion,
I
yeah.
can't do anything. Just,
All right, look at your calendars, everybody.
So,
The next regular meeting is July 21st.
When are you available?
It is gonna be
Did you know
difficult.
she's a
between now
national
and
champion dog,
first to do another
thing?
special
Don't be
meeting,
telling
but-
people. I don't like to brag.
Nice weekend, huh?
It was fun.
we want a special meeting before our July 21st meeting, correct?
Yeah, probably a little bit ahead of that so that we got some time to think if there's something else you might come up with. What did we say, July?
Could we just do it at the meeting?
We will never get it done. I mean, we're already over our 9 o'clock limit.
Now, we need a list, a direction. It's precisely what we want.
I'm not doing it.
Well, with the 4th of July smack dab in the middle of now and our next meeting, it's gonna be difficult to do a special meeting before the next meeting. I mean,
13th, 14th, 16th, 17th.
Yeah, you got 2 weeks after the 4th.
I could do the 14th.
14th?
I can make 14th.
Be there, do I have to ask, do we have to be that, that special meeting?
No.
Really?
Okay, all right, good.
I can do the 14th, anytime.
Jason, how are you comfortable with that?
yeah, I can do the 14th,
What time?
whatever time works for everybody.
Whatever you want.
I can make any time work. Do you wanna do?
Even during the day?
Yes,
I can't make it to see them.
10 o'clock? Can you meet 10 o'clock?
10 AM Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Gary?
Yep,
I'm a yes too,
at the hall?
at the hall.
Tuesday, the 14th, and I,
So don't take it as a sign of disrespect, but I won't be able to make that meeting.
What time was it, 10?
10 o'clock.
Okay,
Who made the motion? Anybody?
do you have to schedule a meeting?
Oh, I don't know. Do we
Laura,
need a
do you need a
motion?
motion?
You don't need a motion. You all just agree to it. Meetings
Cool.
could be set administratively, so there's no problem doing it the way you did it.
We should block out 3 hours.
no,
I hope not.
Maybe like 10.
It's just being realistic.
Are you there?
Hey, how about before the 14th, if you send a list of things you think,
Yeah, like a draft.
and you think of, send a
I love
things
it.
you think, and I'll send you.
I love
thing I
it.
think.
Let's send it all to Kara. She can collect
Send
all of it.
Karen, let her collect it, and then.
We
And
gotta,
Kate, if you wanna send stuff,
we gotta move on.
I can't.
yeah, let's go.
Okay.
We are going over our time, so we probably ought to pick out what has to be done.
We can get K1 and K2 done. We just need to move it.
We need to do one.
We just need to move. We need to do something. Let's go.
Vámonos.
so we're skipping to K1.
Code enforcement reporting,
Okay, yeah, no, we can hit J3.
huh?
Wait, Gary, that's what you wanted to talk about, J3? So we sent an email to the sheriff saying we needed more help with the blight. He sent back an email that said our deputy should have plenty of time to take care of it. Unfortunately, our deputy's not here tonight to talk about that. I sent him another email today before the meeting and saying the board is very adamant, we need to get this blight controlled. This is, we need some direction and we're not letting up on it. So when we find out, we'll do that. We have money in the police fund to pay for this. So I think we just need to keep pushing, and get this blight under control.
Well, both the sheriff and the LT said there's no reason Jeremy can't do this. They know his schedule, they know what do you do? So all we have to do is tell Jeremy, to, enforce, the enforcement officer to enforce the ordinances as written and as well as, observation.
So we're gonna just.
He's on a
try-
public road. If he sees a possible violation,
Do-
his.
Do we as a board need to send him a letter, something to that effect?
No, I think we need to give him a chance.
Well,
Okay,
He's on vacation. We talked to him and we're also communicating with
Okay.
his bosses, so we need to
Good.
continue every week.
Do you think he might benefit from like some additional direction such as we would like to see you make 5 blight stops a month or there's no, we're not giving him any sort of targets to.
I suppose you could do that. There's no reason, I'm telling you, there's no reason during his patrol procedure where if he's driving around and he sees a violation or a potential violation, he has probable cause, he can go and talk to the property owner. There may not be a violation, there might be. But he has the authority to do that because he was on a public road and it's
He was
visible.
never directed to do anything other than complaints.
Yes, that's observation, that's
I think
personal
we'll meet with him when he
observation.
gets off vacation
Okay.
and just, in all fairness to him, he needs to know what we expect. So
we'll put this on next month's agenda, because it'd really be nice if we had a status of what's new, what's old, what's.
He's gonna-
Well, he's got a spreadsheet now that he started,
Okay,
so he said he's gonna keep it up and I'm gonna make sure he does.
okay. Done with that. J4, cemeteries.
Dixie's been taking care of getting all this stuff done and doing a great job. Thank you, Dixie. Yeah, we need to discuss what we want that to look like. I don't know if, we want to do that now or postpone that till next month. J4, talk about what we want
I think that's not an emergency, we can probably talk about that next month.
But have we gone out for bids or stuff like that? Should we just?
Yeah,
leave that
she's
in
already-
there?
That's already
she's
been
already
done.
got it.
You got all the bids done for that
Well, yeah.
cemetery?
The first bids and then the second bids that I sent out for the tree services are too busy right now.
Yeah,
with the
well,
storm.
the storm.
Right,
But-
so I mean, so we're not gonna get any.
Dixie, did we get the tree work done that we voted on last month? Was that completed?
Yeah, that was all done.
Cool.
DR Stump, actually did it and they hauled out truckloads of trees and, sawdust and all of that.
So they did a great job.
Good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay,
So what we need to do is come up with a plan of what's the next steps, the other things that we need taken care of in
Yeah,
the cemetery.
We have one tree in there that's huge. It's gonna be probably pretty costly. It has like 5, about the size of other trees coming off of it. It has hollows in like 3 or 4 of the arms coming out. So it could come down in any storm.
So we're gonna need to make a plan.
is that a pine tree?
No,
Okay,
I'll show you a picture of it.
Okay, so we'll talk about that next month, what the plan is.
Hey, K1, court order. Gary, what do you need?
I need approval, we've got, a
So,
handwritten.
Is this a motion then?
Yes, it'd be a motion to, pay the $1,400, $1,000 is for, Chuck McCraig and his crew that was out there cleaning up, the property at,
How many members of crew did he have?
he had 2 other people beside himself, and I was there for 4 hours.
When we have people there, there's a waiver form we gotta have that
They were volunteers.
volunteer waiver form.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get them signed.
Yeah.
And, we'll get a bill for the dumpster for $400 from Best Way.
So your
Total
motion is to
Total of
approve a payment of totaling $1,400 to clean up expenses associated with the court order.
Correct.
Gary made a motion, can I get that?
I'll second it.
Mary seconded, money or discussion?
Do we get that recouped then through the legal
The
process?
court order says it's put on his property tax.
Okay,
So it goes in lien.
cool.
Oh, Gary.
Yes.
Gary, yes. Mary?
Yes.
Kenzie, yes. Cara?
Yes.
Garza, yes. Jason?
Yes.
Township, hall furnace replacement?
Okay, we had the furnaces checked and the air conditioners checked. We had to put a new something in the air conditioner, whatever we did last year. It was like a $400 part.
Compressor?
Yeah, thanks, Gary. That's what it was. Started with a C.
And that's-
And, so I had him service the furnaces because they haven't been checked and he said they are cracked and he turned the gas off to them. They're from 1995.
Right here.
Mm-hmm, these
And
two.
how many, I thought there was only one furnace in
Two
there.
furnaces in there.
Chief should get out of the building.
Yeah, one little hall.
So they have two furnaces. And they did say, because they just got done with the heat stuff, they could get that done next week if we needed it.
We need,
We don't wanna wait till October.
that's fine, but it's turned off for the summertime. We need more than one bid for a 30,
Yeah.
1,003, 11, wow.
Yes, we do need to get bids.
We need two more bids. It's over $11,000 just for the cheap furnaces, so.
If you get the bids at the special meeting, we can add that to the agenda.
Sure.
Got that far?
Madawan Mechanical. was
Madawan
just
Mechanical.
low bidder at our church.
And
I
also,
don't know if
and
that-
also
somebody
maybe
can check.
Fleetwood's too.
It's when super expensive.
What's that, Dixie?
I was gonna say, on that bid, it looks like one of the furnaces is only an 80 as opposed to a high efficiency.
They were just there's two different, the 80% and then the high
So
efficiency.
why wouldn't we have both of them high efficiency?
No, two of them are the 80 or two of them at the high efficiency.
No, on the second bid, it says 80 and 95.
Well, I don't know. We'll go look at it.
One
I mean,
second
based
bid.
on what he has.
You want a 95 efficiency, the most efficient.
Where are they located?
Well, he's got a price, both options include manufacturing. You got a price for two different ones, so you're talking really 25,000, right?
No,
It's either
these two,
high efficiency
Or those two?
80%, those two are high efficiency.
So you think that's a typo?
two different models.
It's either 11.5 or it's 14.3.
But we'll get more bids.
Yeah.
I think they're different sizes, because one's for the,
And does it need like one of those heat coils or whatever going because of the air conditioner?
They'll be able to do that.
okay.
I mean,
So
public comments.
on public
Oh,
comments.
yeah.
Okay, talk about it later.
They should build light unit.
Okay, we're going to public comment. Dixie, way of the back. Nope, Dixie said you go first.
I just want 20 more seconds, because I wanted to respond to what you had said, Ken,
Yep.
earlier about, the fact that Headley still allows for increases in, property valuation, which, still results in increased collective taxes for the schools. But again, the state expects 18 mils of collection from the school, so even though that increase is happening, we can still actually experience a reduction in funds because they will subtract more off of our state foundation allowance because we're further away from that 18 mils they expect us to collect. So just want to provide clarification there.
Go ahead. Dixie.
I'd like to, address this to the board. As you all know, I had a vacation rental one time. Remember, Gary, when we worked on noise ordinance? How that never could ever be measured, never did anything ever happen. So you could have people hooping, hollering and everything else. And there was nothing that Columbia Township did about it because, they brought a meter to test it. You have to have a person out there at the time to do it. So therefore, we've never effectively, did anything with noise. Also, like when you have people throwing beer cans in your yard and walking across your yard or going on your beach. Sheriff is coming out for that. I mean, they have more important stuff that they need to do. So we're not gonna get any type of response from Van Buren County Sheriff. So when you're saying that we need to enforce our laws, if we're gonna enforce them, then I would think that if we do go with short-term rentals, they're gonna have to pay for that because a resident of Columbia Township does not pay for this enforcement. We know that the current, procedures that are out there currently is not going to get any enforcement because we've already been down this road in the past. So therefore, these short-term rentals are going to have to pay for that amount of money or for that enforcement. And when I did the calculation back this past spring, it was like $6,000 per rental because we need round the clock, enforcement. Because you cannot expect, a resident that lives next to them to put up with anything because they are in a residential community. They expect to live in a residential community, not next to a commercial business. And so therefore, if by chance you do go forward, somehow this enforcement needs to be taken care of effectively.
I think there's a lot of flaws in the thinking that the short-term rentals are completely the problem with some of these, like noise violations.
I
stuff like
love the short-term rental. I've been in that business before. I got out of it because of the issues and not being able to enforce it. So don't say like, I don't have any experience with this because I
I'm
do.
not claiming you don't have experience. What I'm saying is when you look around the lakes and you just look on like a parcel viewer and just start counting the number of properties that are owned by people that aren't residents. Around the lake is not a typical residential community by any stretch of the imagination. Go over a block, very much a residential community. On the lake, it is not a residential community. And to say that fair. Look around your properties. Most of the people are from Chicago, flat out.
They are second homes.
Second homes.
Public comment is for individuals to make public comment, not cross-room debate.
Second homes. You have people that come and bring a massive amount of people with them. That is a whole different problem than a short-term rental where somebody says, hey, I have a financial interest in my home and I am only allowing 5 people to come and rent it. Because you're not gonna let 40 people rent your home, especially if you let 40 people rent your home, they're gonna trash your home. And all of a sudden for the sweet $500 you made, you've got $10,000 worth of damages. So there's a lot of mud being thrown around on the short-term rental people are somehow trashing everything. And it spreads a lot farther and wider.
Anybody else?
I know the funds are some of the biggest issues, and that's what we started with. How are we gonna pay somebody to enforce it? But even if you ban it, you have to pay somebody to enforce it. So I do think and hope that you guys do find a way, because I agree with a lot of what's being said. There are probably properties that are causing issues, and you know, there was something there with that ordinance that was good, like, it made sense to me, as somebody that is respectful as a short-term rental owner. I'm like, I wouldn't want this next door to me if this stuff is really happening. So I like the fact that you guys are possibly considering an ordinance, but the whole thing about money, you know, it's gotta be enforced either way. You're gonna have to pay somebody, one way or the other. You ban us, you're gonna have to enforce it the same way. I have to hire somebody to do that. So it's a lot to think of. I respect you guys for having to do all this.
We done? Hey, I wanna thank Dixie, her father Lonnie, and Dave Marcelletti, and Tim Tinderella for helping me with the concrete pour. And we got one thing left for Cara. We're gonna set your voting machine probably on Wednesday or Thursday. And then that will be all set. Dixie did a lot of soil moving and raking to level it out all around them, so.
Thank you.
What else? Anything else we need to talk about?
Is this board
Correspondence?
Is this board comments?
Board comments? Go ahead, Gary.
The only other thing it has is, and this has happened in the past, when Butch was at the transfer station, we have a person that needs to do, some community service work, cause he got a little bit of hot water. And, so the court says you need to do 80 hours of commercial, of community service. So I would like to have him, work at the transfer station, because we'll have a supervisor there at the time. And, not all 80 hours, cause he'll have to work different other places, but he can do like things like spraying the weed killer on and stacking the tires so they can be taken out of there and other things that need to be done at the transfer station. So If we need, I already, advised, Chuck that he needs to tell this guy that he needs, to get a hold of his PO and get the paperwork that we need. So it can be, addressed by the board and signed.
Yeah, we had them sign a waiver before too.
Well, whatever we need.
And
But-
then
but his-
we had a
his PO
time
is
sheet we
gonna-
had to keep.
His PO is gonna
Yep.
have the paperwork they need.
Good. I'm good. Anyone else?
We don't maintain an absentee voter list anymore. They all got notices. The last election, we do maintain a permanent ballot list. So if you want to get on that list, you go to michigan.gov/vote.
That's where you would enter if you want on that permanent list?
Yeah. And there was an option like on your application last time to be added to that list, so a lot of people already did it.
And it was in my report, but thank you, Gary, for all the work you did out at the transfer station, you, John, and also for Dixie, Karen, and Kate, for the extra work as citizens that you do. We are very fortunate to have the group that we have in Columbia Township, and thank you all for your free volunteering work. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
We're very fortunate. And no one gets taken to jail like in Hartford.
Laura, say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Adjourned at 9:44.
Thanks again for having us. You guys want to come clean up?
Thank you, guys. Oh, no,